Can you guys hear me? Did I fix the problem? Did I? I have no idea. I have no idea, you guys. I'm really excited though. I hope you guys can see me. I'm gonna do something real fast. I think the problem was I had too many windows open, or I screwed something else up, which is entirely possible, and I do apologize for that. But I hope you guys can see me. Don't mind me as I mess around a little bit with this. I just want to make sure I've got it right. I've tried 5 times to do this, and I am screwing something up. I think it has something to do with the right stream key. It's weird. I thought I copy-pasted the right stream key 2 hours ago, and apparently I didn't. I don't know. I am doing something weird. So, if you see me and you can hear me, please let me know. Because I am new to YouTube stream. I'm very used to Twitch streaming. So please let me know if you can hear me. I've got my Yeti blue mic set up. It looks like I've got everything intact on my side, but it's always tricky with a live stream. So if you cannot see me or cannot hear me, we will try something else. We may not be able to stream right now. Oh, I see me though. I see me or cannot hear me. We will try something else. We may not be able to stream. Sorry, hold on. Okay, there's a bit of a delay, but I'm here. How are you? How are you guys? Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your patience. I warned you on Twitter. I knew this was going to happen. There is always, in the proud Celtic Queen tradition, there is always technical difficulties. But I persevered. Whew. This was tough, but it'll be worth it because I'm really excited to play Hades on Nintendo Switch. I'm really excited about that, and because this is the first History and Games live stream that I've done in a long time, I'm super excited to have that dynamic of having a little classroom of people who love games and love history, and they're watching right now. However, before I go any further, before I'm not just talking into the void, talking into the ether, which would be hilarious and apt. It does thematically fit Hades. We'll talk about what that means later. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me and see me. Okay. If not, I will cry. I'll just cry. But we will persevere, right? This is not a hopeless task. We are not rolling up the boulder and having it go back down. We're gonna get out of Hades. We're gonna get Zagreus out of Hades. We're going to get out of this death and rebirth loop where we have to stop and start and stop and start and stop and start this stream, which is apt. This is very thematically correct for this game and for our topic at hand. So things happen for a reason, and I feel like the struggle is real, but the struggle has a purpose. I'm so excited about that. So hang tight with me as we play Hades on the Nintendo Switch. Some of you have been playing this since it was in beta on the PC. No problem whatsoever. This is all very familiar to you. Let me know if you can hear the game audio and my audio as well. It won't hurt my feelings. If the answer is no, we'll figure it out. In the meantime, Cerberus is a good boy. We already pet him earlier, so he's sleeping. He's a sleepy puppy. Sounds good. Thank you, David. Thank you. I'm going to thank you in the chat. Thank you, David. Can you hear the game audio as well? How is everything on your end? On. How do you spell everything? Everything on your end. We got this, fam. We got this. It's never a Celtic Queen Twitch stream unless there's a million technical difficulties. That is the hard and fast rule. It is our penance at the very beginning. We have to pay it forward. So that's what's going on right now. So, yes, okay, Terrence, thank you. Hi, Terrence. I always love when you show up in chat. Terrence is one of my oldest and most supportive followers, and I always appreciate it, and I do recognize it as such. So you can hear everything on your end. I just want to make sure you can hear the game audio. The reason I'm so excited for you guys to hear the game audio is the acting's so great, the music's terrific. And of course, I just want to make sure you can hear me because my Blue Yeti mic is actually a little far. I've got the gain up, but I want to make sure there's no reverb, nothing weird. Again, we can always adjust it, but I'm just so happy that I fixed my OBS. As you guys know, I borked my OBS a couple months ago, and it took me forever to figure out how to fix it. I finally just reset everything today, and it actually fixed the whole problem. So I was like, whew. I was afraid to do that because my friend Jared actually set my OBS for me in an exact perfect way, and I was afraid to reset it because I was like, I don't want to ruin anything, but as it turns out, it wasn't too bad. So that's really good. And I apologize if I have to kind of go back and forth. My computer monitors are on this side. Usually if I PC stream down here, I've got my other HD cam, my Logitech 920 over here. This is my Kio cam. So if you see me turn, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to make sure that I read your comments. I don't have a monitor on the other side where I can see you, so I'm not being rude. However, we will give a toast to the god Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry. We are here today celebrating Hades, which is an awesome rogue action RPG by Supergiant Games, and it's amazing. So if you've played their games before, I think you're really going to enjoy this game. So I'm going to take a little sip.
Out with it.
It's nice. It's a very fruity wine, a little on the dry side. I wish I had remembered to write down the name of the wine. It is a California wine for sure. In this house, we drink California wine, so I'm a big California snob. I'm more of a fan of sparkling white wine, but this kind of white wine is good as well. So that is our
And so
our thank you to Dionysus. Everything is good. Excellent. Yes, the good stuff.
absolutely
Yes, David, that is an excellent. Everyone's patiently waiting in line. You'll notice this game is splendid in its detail. So you can see a little ghost making his way right now, trying to figure out where to go. You've got the little bowl of bones for Cerberus. Can we just talk about how great Cerberus is? What a cute, good boy he is. I love how he's a snuggle fluff in this game. One head on the far left, our far left, is kind of vigilant. He's a good boy. He's a good guard dog. You see the collar. See the other collar, and the other Cerberus head is just kind of flopped over, very sleepy, kind of lazy. And then the one has its little tongue out. It's just, Cerberus is the best boy. Let's be honest, we all love Cerberus. He's just such a cutie. Other details I notice as we're waiting for people to come in. I will get to the history and games part in a minute, but I want to give people a chance to sort of stream in because, oh, that reminds me. Speaking of stream, I have to restream out the link to this. Okay, all systems are go. Come watch me play Hades and talk about the pun shady origins of Zagreus. And they are shady. It is true. It's a bit shady. There's a bit of a pun there. And we'll get to all that because it's actually really fascinating. It makes you appreciate, this game even more. So let's look at the details. Let's just admire Supergiant Games for doing what they do. Because I think it's pretty amazing what they do. So if we take a look at the details, you can see Cerberus. As David pointed out, you've got this row of shades. These spirits just politely queuing up. You've got this pool of blood. This is where Zagreus is reborn. The theme of blood is not only important in this game, it is very important into ancient Greek religion. And you'll notice this river, right? You notice the river. You notice this goddess with this vase pouring the blood into this pool, and this is where you emerge from. So you can see that, and you see all these shades. They're just kind of politely standing around. This is Hypnos, the god of sleep. His brother, according to ancient Greek religion, is Thanatos, the god of death. So sleep and death, right? They're brothers because they have similarities. We've got our goodest boy, Cerberus. And then we see here, the hard-working, very determined-looking Hades. He, of course, is the god and lord of the underworld. And we'll talk extensively about the real Hades in a moment. But I love the animation for Hades. He's either working diligently to get through this just egregious stack of papers. This is every worker's nightmare, right? And then other times you see him just kind of like this, just like, ugh. So I love that, right? It is not a fun job. It is not a fun job. It is a thankless job. So you can see right now he's in this resting position. When you're bored or you're tired, what do? You rest your face on your knuckles, on your hand.
Why are you here?
You just want to be anywhere else. It's just not a fun job.
Oh,
And so you've got Zagreus here. He's all in red, the color of blood, very important. Who's also all in red. His father, who's just, I love that, just brushing off. Now, we already talked to them earlier, so I can't talk to them again. But don't worry, that will change. You'll notice in the background a beautiful mosaic, right? So you've got Hades, you've got this skull, you've got all these people around, which is really, really neat. I love that little detail. Now, something you may not have noticed. Look at the top of this screen. Look at the very top. What is that hanging down? Pomegranates. Pomegranates are related to blood, but they're also they are about rebirth and rejuvenation is the word I'm looking for. That's really important. It doesn't just apply to a certain goddess, it also applies to a certain deity, which we will talk about later, and that deity might be Zagreus himself. If we take a look here at this mosaic, it says a vast and intricately crafted. Well, you can hear the VO.
Look on in awe of him.
No pomegranates, angry teacher, right? See, in the underworld, you don't give people apples, you give them pomegranates. You're just like, no more of those.
He's not really that great.
categorically denied.
And I love, so before we get into the history again, I think it's just really fun to take a tour of Hades. It's surprisingly colorful. I thought that was a really super smart thing for Supergiant Games to do. Hades is not just gray and dark. You'll notice it's actually very colorful. You've got all sorts of light, so light and shading, shading, but you've got these vibrant colors. It's almost festive, all things considered. So Cerberus and Zagreus and his father, they're all these bright, vibrant reds. You've got these bright, vibrant purple with the eternal key of the Greeks. If we go over here, you can see, I just love this so much. You can just see this this sort of bright, shiny gold color, right? You can see this.
I don't think I'm welcome in there.
It won't open for me, right? But you see, even the bone mosaic, which should be spooky, is kind of fun and quirky. It's almost Dia de los Muertos. It is, and I apologize because I butchered that. My Spanish is rusty as heck, and I probably said that wrong. But it is just this very festive environment. I mean, look at the vases. They're blue and yellow and green, and they're just very vibrant.
Good to see you, lad.
This is Achilles, our hotshot. I mean, he's smoking hot. By the way, everyone is really good looking. Men and women are just beautiful. As appropriate for gods. They're all extremely good looking. And we'll talk about Zagreus and how tasty he looks. But when we talk about tasty Zagreus, we mean that literally. And we'll talk about that more later. But of course, we've got our hero, Achilles, right? The ultimate hero from the Iliad. And he says, and I'm sorry, I talked over his voiceover. I'm so sorry.
And fear is for the weak. Take care, Achilles.
But that's our other local hottie. But you can see all these vases. You can see how, I mean, look at this. This is beautiful.
The house of Hades. That dark and lavishly appointed lair of the underworld's king. You know I can hear you, old man.
And even things that are supposed to be scary are kind of comical, right? I love the light and shading, by the way. It's just really, really beautiful. I mean, Hades is one of those places where you should be freaked out, but I don't know, it's got some good lighting and everything. It's kind of neat. You've got some quirky characters. And we've got this lounge area, this beautiful lounge area, where the shades, they may not remember their names or who they are or what they're doing there, right? We'll talk about that later as well. But I love that they're just kind of hanging, chilling, a little bit of illin. Got some food. And that's important, right? That's very important to stories of the underworld. Even if you're not dead, you eat the food of the underworld, no matter how tiny, even if it's a pomegranate seed, you are stuck there forever. So notice that there is a pervasive theme of food, which looks really good, by the way. Look at this fantastic bread, these pomegranates, these vegetables. Good Lord. I mean, this is fantastic. I love it. It is just so much fun. I think Supergiant Games did a fantastic job design. I love the floor, the tiled floor. I mean, you know, for Hades, it's not a bad place to be. Not a bad place. I mean, you've got these giant wine casks. You've got this statue, right? That's really cool. Then you've got this shop.
What's up for barter?
So if I want, I can get a chthonic key, which we will do. We're going to talk about the word chthonic. This is really key to my lecture tonight. So keep that in mind.
It's only ever Thanatos or Meg up there.
And it's only ever Thanatos or Meg up there. So it's kind of like Employee of the Week. So Thanatos is the personification of death. And Meg, of course, is our naughty fury who's trying to stop us. Here is Night. Nyx is her name. She is a goddess of night in Greek mythology. She's pretty cool. There is a Gorgon wandering around. Well, she's not here. We'll talk about her later. But you will notice the fabulous sort of light purple squares here. That was some redecorating on my part. Gotta have a little bit of that lovely purple. Let's go to... Hello, John Brody. I am well. Thank you for calling me Lena Inverse. My hair is extra red. Let me know if you can hear and see me okay. I know it's a little bit dark. It's getting dark. I have a couple of lights going, but if it gets darker, I'll turn the light more towards me. So let me know. Here's Zagreus' room. It's very messy, like any teenage young adult. So I think we're starting to get enough people in the chat so I can sort of start my lecture on Hades. So as I was saying, we're playing Hades on Nintendo Switch. It's also been out in beta, and now I guess it's officially out on PC. It's a rogue action RPG by Supergiant Games about the son of Hades, the god of the underworld. The son's name is Zagreus, or Zagreus, and he is trying to escape his father's domain. Typical father-son relationship. Hades is not a physically or emotionally abusive dad, but he's very cold and distant. He's not an angry dad. He's just very disappointed. And so obviously Zagreus, you know, he's turning into a young adult. He doesn't want to be here anymore. He's learned something about his past that makes him kind of want to leave and discover who he is. So he has motivation to leave his dad's house. Now, most teenagers try to run away, or they're probably kicked out by their parents, unfortunately. Luckily, I've never had that experience, but some teenagers have, except in this game, as a reflection of the actual Greek belief, you can't escape Hades. Once you're in, you're in. And those who try to leave Hades and accomplish it actually get punished for it. And we'll talk about that later as well. You probably know the story. But this is all about Zagreus trying to leave his dad's domain, and his dad being like, you can't leave my domain, don't even bother. But Zagreus slowly and surely is trying to leave his dad's house. And so the interesting thing about this game is it's a rogue game, right? It's a rogue game, which means that when you die in the game, you have to start all the way over. However, in this game, there's a couple things that differentiate it from other rogue games. Number one, you get to keep some of the stat boosts that you get, right? You unlock them. You unlock certain buffs and debuffs along the way, right? Like you have access to them. So when you're running around the dungeon, you have access to these buffs and debuffs that help your stats and hurt the stats of the enemies. Also, however, the trick is this isn't like a Soulsborne game. Those games are designed to punish you for not following the rules. But when you play those games and you die, the dungeons don't change. You just quickly learn how to approach certain enemies. So, for all you who are going to play the Demon Souls remake, if you've never played Demon Souls before, this is a non-spoiler trick. The key to surviving that game is go slow, shield up, always. Always shield up. And during boss fights, dodge and roll, dodge and roll, dodge and roll, dodge and roll. Hades is a little bit different. You die and you lose everything, but you are weirdly kind of rewarded for learning. The story keeps progressing. You learn more about this character, who I promise we will get into the gameplay in just a bit. And also you unlock, you can see different weapons. I've unlocked a sword. I've unlocked a shield. I've unlocked a spear, a bow and arrow, these sort of fisticuffs. And whatever the hell this thing is, pardon my language, which we need a few more keys for. We're getting there. So this is the last weapon that I have to unlock. These two are kind of iffy in terms of what the ancient Greeks have used it. But you can see a bow and arrow. Absolutely. This would have been used in ancient Greek and pre-Greek times. Shield, yes. Spear, yes. It's part of the hoplite phalanx. And of course, a sword. Now this long, broad sword was not typical of ancient Greek times. But I don't want to ruin the game completely. And then, of course, you've got these
Got something new to try.
Keepsakes. So basically some sort of armor. And you unlock these as you give presents to the gods. This is really important. This is really a part of ancient Greek belief. So there was a bit of a quid pro quo with the gods. If you gave them a sacrifice, they would give you something in return. That was how it was. So we'll talk about the specific types of sacrifice, because there were actually two types of gods that you paid tribute to. The gods of the sky, the Olympians, the 12 Olympians, who we'll talk about in a second, and then the chthonic gods, which means the earth or underworld gods. And you actually had a different set of rituals and rules for them. And the brilliance of this game is that it actually ties into those real rituals. And it's really, really clever, which is why I really wanted to do a live stream of this game, because Supergiant Games deserves a lot of credit, like Ubisoft style credit, for their research into this. But as you can see, I can equip Zagreus with different things. So if I put an old spiked collar on him, which he got from Cerberus, his goodest boy, it'll add 25 points to my life total. If I put on a black shawl, it deals 10% extra damage. If I do this chthonic coin purse, I'll receive 100 extra coins to spend as you please, but it's only once per escape attempt. Harpy Feather Duster. Broken urns have a 3% chance to contain more health. This is really, really key to keep going. Remember, it's a rogue game. If I die, I gotta go all the way back to the beginning. And then you can see there's a bunch of stuff for me to still go. So the game kind of wants you to fail. So you open these things up, but also it says here, even mortal companionship can be eternal. So the idea is you learn as you play. This game is really careful about not making you feel like a failure when you die, which is really key to keeping going, because I don't like rogue games. I'm not good at them. I've only finished one rogue game, and that was a JRPG by Compile Hearts. I can't remember the name of it. It was something Curry God. And I actually really enjoyed that game, and I gave it a pretty high score on IGN. What the heck was the name of that game? But I'm usually not good at these games, but any rogue game that's smart, any rogue game that's like, I know this is tough, but we got you, boo. We're going to show you that there's a learning process and that it's okay to fail. That's the genius of Supergiant Games. And notice, by the way, these sort of stone trees have pomegranates in them. Again, that metaphor of death and rebirth. We're going to talk about that more in detail later, but that's really important. And congrats to Supergiant Games for zeroing in on that. That's really, really important. And it's a little detail I don't think many gamers picked up on or really understood, kind of got in the back of their mind, but they may not know the full story of that. So, having said that, we have to make a big decision. What weapon do we want? And I'm thinking we're going to go with shield. I've had the most luck with the shield. I don't know what it is about it, but so far I've gotten halfway through Asphodel, the second level with the shield. So let's go ahead and jump into the game. We're going to do a little bit of a tribute to Dionysus. Dionysus, thank you. I would pour one out, but I don't want to ruin my poor carpet. So I hope that's okay. We'll just no, I can't. I really will. I don't really want to stay in it. But we will drink in honor of Dionysus. Dionysus especially. Dionysus has a direct correlation with Zagreus. Keep that in the back of your mind. Of all the gods, Dionysus, Hades, Zagreus. Remember that. It's really important to the history lesson I'm going to talk about tonight. So, cheers. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. If you are not into alcohol, that's totally okay. If you have a glass of water or some juice or anything you want, go ahead and have a sip. Let's go. Very fruity. Very nice. All right. Let's go ahead and practice a little bit. And the cool thing about the shield is that it actually bounces. See that? It has a boomerang effect. I don't know a game in existence that doesn't have an awesome boomerang that gets the job done. Started with Zelda, and from there on, I mean, boomerang weapons are the best. If you know how to do the geometry and the trajectory, it's really, really great. Look at that. Look at that. You'll notice I've got some good dodge. This is really, really important for later, especially as things get a little crazy and we gotta dodge a lot. All right, let's just jump into it. This is our 11th attempt. I'm still pretty early on in the game, but this is my 11th attempt to get out of hell. Let's see if we can do it. All right.
Nobody gets out of here, boy. Whether alive or dead. You think I jest?
It's important. It says you think I haven't tried. That's really important.
You failed. I won't. Goddess Athena.
All right. Goddess Athena. Here we go. So this is important. Along the way, as some of you who have played the game know, the Olympians help Zagreus. We're not sure why. They notice that there's a relative. They discover there's a relative they haven't heard of before. They didn't know Hades had a son. They discovered that through one of the underworld gods, one of the underworld deities who hangs out in Hades. And they are super excited. They're like, hey, little cousin, or hey, little sibling, or whatever, come hang out with us. And it's great because they give you all sorts of boons. So, here's Athena. I love the designs, by the way.
Hades and my father Zeus have not communicated in some time, and Zeus refuses to explain. Something transpired between the two of them.
Okay.
Perhaps you know better than I.
That's awesome. Okay, so just to reiterate, Hades and Zeus, they're not speaking to each other. Zeus refuses to explain, and obviously Hades isn't the most forthcoming person, so something happened. Well, we need to explain that story of the gods, which we'll do in a little bit. But I love the design of Athena. You'll notice that she is clearly a goddess of war. She's got her owl, her totem, her representative. And you'll notice that she's black, and that's important because it is possible that Athena really was a black Libyan goddess. There is some evidence that points to that. It's even in Herodotus. So I love that design. She's super, super cool. And you'll notice that everyone in this game is super hot. They're super good looking. So, we have 3 boons we can choose from Athena. And she's called the gray-eyed goddess, so she has gray eyes. It's a very striking feature of hers. And we have 3 things that we can do as some sort of buff. We can do Divine Strike, Phalanx Shot, or Divine Dash. And I'm going to be smart and do Divine Dash, because I dash a lot in this game to avoid enemy fire. Do the do. Heck yeah. Mountain Dew game fuel. Oh no. That's funny. You guys are great. I love it. I love it. Okay. So here we go. And you can see all these ghosts kind of wandering around. And you see one of the rivers, the many rivers of Hades. And there was more than one, believe it or not. So, and you can see in that river, you see these hands coming up. So that's a little creepy. But at any rate, here we go. Now, as I said, this is an action RPG. It's a rogue game. And also, this is really important for those who have not yet played the game. Just be aware that it is a randomly generated dungeon each time. Meaning, unlike Soulsborne, you can't memorize the pattern because it's different every time. So you'll get different enemies, you'll get different rooms. There's certain parts that are similar, like bosses and mini-bosses don't change. But the rooms themselves do a little bit. And you can see that in this room, I'll get a chthonic key. Alright, so, for example, this usually isn't the room I come to. Now, they're randomly generated, but I noticed that these rooms, there's like the same design. They may not just be in order. I recognize this room. But it's never quite the same. Not doing as well this round. I swear I usually do better. It's a little bit of a rough start. But you can see how my shield bounces off these enemies. I hate that stupid laser thing.
Thank the gods.
Right, here we go. And the other thing too is that the game doesn't necessarily get easier. Sometimes I wouldn't say the enemies necessarily level up with you, but it's tricky.
All right. Who's next?
Oh no. Sorry, I just saw I hope my camera's not about to fall down. As usual, there's always something weird going on with my camera. I place it a certain way, and then because it's on the edge of a flat screen TV, it always looks like it's about to fall down. So I might have to adjust that in a bit. At any rate, you can see how important it is to keep moving in this game, but be careful! You'll notice if I step on those panels, I'm in real trouble. If you're smart about how you approach traps, you can actually hurt your enemies and not yourself. But it's tricky. And you'll notice that there's a lot of obstacles in the way. So these are really cleverly designed levels. I hate these enemies. Here. And of course the whole idea is that they're meant to stop anyone from... Oh, I got max life. So I didn't rejuvenate my health, but once I do, I'll have more health in general. Okay, sorry, this is really bothering me. I just want to make sure that my camera doesn't fall down. I don't know why. I don't know if it slipped. I don't know if I hit something, but I apologize. I hope it's not too terrible. Of course, this happens during a live stream. Oh no! Now you can't see me at all! Hold on. I am so sorry, you guys. I am a perfectionist, and I just want to make sure that you can see me, even if I look terrible. I just want you guys to be able to see me. By the way, speaking of seeing me, I don't know if you can see this, but I have 6 reference books that we're going to talk about tonight. So this really is a history lesson. We're playing the game, but it's also a history lesson. Nope. Still too... Okay, hold on. Is that better? Sorry. Hang tight, guys. This is very typical of one of my streams. Also, I can't believe that I've been sitting here and nothing has been attacking me. That's amazing. Wow, how lucky did I get? I love the shield. It's so good. It even hits the little globes that these monsters attack me with. I'm sure you already saw that, but I just wanted to point that out. Bonk, 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 bonk. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Just hate these things. Now, their wands might look a little familiar. They look like something Hermes would carry. That is very appropriate. When we talk about the individual gods, we're going to talk about their chthonic aspects, which is overlooked by modern people, but was actually a huge part of their worship. Shoot. Sorry. So now you can see me, but it looks like my camera's going to fall over again. We'll get it, guys. This is such a Celtic thing. Also, I look terrible on camera now. I looked better before. Now I look ridiculous. Whatever. It's been a day. Oh no, I'm not doing well because I'm not paying attention. There we go. We've got better life. You know what the problem is that I am too short. If I do this, can you see me better? Darn it. Sorry guys. This is very typical. It is, the thing is, you can preview all you want, but when you start recording, it looks very different. And then when you try to perfect it, sometimes you'll ruin your camera because you got it at a funny angle, so it looks good, but then your camera looks like it's going to fall over. Oh! I wonder... What if I zoom out? What if I zoom out? There. Is that better? I feel like that's better. Let's see if that's better. Okay, maybe you can see me better now. I think it was zoomed in too much. Alright, let's pretend that's it. Nobody cares. Only I care. But I try to make it look as professional as possible, and I get very mad when it doesn't look professional. Hey, I got a thing. Alright. We're just here to have fun and do a history lesson. Which we will start. I promised that I would start the history lesson no more than an hour in. Technically, I wanted it to be a half hour, but it took me forever to get the stream started, so we still have some time. Alright. Oh, you can see the books now, too. There it is. Okay, that was my problem. I'm way too zoomed in. That's my fault. I was trying something, and I zoomed in too much. Glad we solved that mystery. So I wanted to share this with you guys, since we have a bit of a reprieve. So tonight, so you know I'm not just talking out my hat, I have some of the books that I use for my research for history and games. The most influential current book we have on ancient Greek religion that other books mention a lot is this one right here. Prolegumena of the Study of Greek Religion by Jane Harrison. This is a really important book. I got this at a used bookstore, so this is probably one of the more original copies. In fact, if I look at the copyright, it is first printing 1955, third printing 1959, but the very first edition is from 1903. I think this is from the 1950s. But the original print went all the way back to 1903. And this has been influential ever since. And I have bookmarked something we're going to talk about, one of the gods and their chthonic aspects, their underworld aspect. But I also want to recommend some other books. This is called Mysteries of the Oracles, and the very first chapter... Let me make sure... Sorry, there's a bit of a delay, so I'm just kind of holding this up so you can see it. So I can make sure it is right on... There it is. Mystery of the Oracles. The very first chapter is dedicated to the Oracle of the Dead. So, This is a very ancient theme where people, when they wanted to know what they should do in their life, there were many oracles they could go to, but sometimes they would consult the dead. And you know this as far back as the Iliad, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the oracles of the dead, the powers of the dead, tie right into this game, and they tie right into ancient Greek religion. So, if you're curious about that, this is called Mysteries of the Oracles by Philip Vandenberg. It's a good book. I paid, according to this, $16. The price is still on it. All right. Introducing New Gods, the Politics of Athenian Religion. You can see I have something bookmarked that we'll talk about later, and it's about the hero cult, which is also related to the underworld. Believe it or not, people literally, when you talk about hero worshipping, like we hero worship athletes and actors today, right? Like we hero worship them. Well, that started thousands of years ago, and the book talks about that. This is the big one. You may have heard of this. This is called The Greek Myths by Robert Graves. You have to love the cover. It's totally comic book. So think DC, think Marvel. You can see all of the comic book references. I actually bought the book partially because I love the cover so much. But this doesn't just retell the ancient Greek myths. It actually talks about the history and anthropology and archaeology and all that stuff behind it, and even the psychology. So it's really important. And I pulled the story of Zagreus from this book, and we will talk about that story later on as we get to the story of Zagreus. I love this book so much. It's called Greek Religion. It breaks down Greek religion. It's not just about like who the gods are, that's Greek mythology. It actually talks about the way they worship, the actual way they worship. And there were two sets of gods, as I mentioned before, that they worshipped. They worshipped the gods above, the Olympians, and then they worshipped the gods below. There were two sets of rules for how you handled the gods above and the gods below. And it's really, really fascinating and really important, and ties in beautifully to this game. Again, that cycle of death, rebirth, death, rebirth. Then we have my last book, which is awesome. I can't believe I found this book. I found it at a used bookstore. Gods, Men, and Wine. It's all about the history of wine and also the religious aspects of wine. Who's the big boss in this? One of the big bosses? Dionysus. And you can see where I have that bookmarked here. Look how thick this book is. If you love wine, the history of wine, and want to know how important it was to religion and culture and civilization, this is the book for you. It's heavy. It's a tome. It is so good. I can't believe I found this book when I found this book. I love this book. Can't recommend it enough. I got lucky finding it. But those are my references, so when I talk about the history and religion of ancient Greece, you know I'm not just talking out my hat. All right, let us go forth, patient viewer, and continue to... I'm going to, you know what? Let me do something real fast. Let me turn the light on me so you can see me a little better. It's getting really dark out, so let me know if that's a little bit better. I don't know if it is. I'm gonna turn the lights a little bit this way. It's a little bright, but we'll deal with it. Okay. So we continue our journey, and we're going to have a hamburger and some French fries. I love that. It's so cute. How many coins do I have? I only have 9 coins, so we're out. But I love talking to Charon, the Stygian Boatman. As you know, Stygian actually means the river Styx, the main river of the underworld. It was not the only river in the underworld, but this is the boatman, and we will talk about him in detail later. But he's a cool dude. I love his design. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, Supergiant Games, for this. Love it. And we also got some coin out of that. That's great. Excellent. Okay. We'll carry on. So, as we carry on, you'll notice that I cannot survive this game. Oh, we're at the mini-boss. You can tell because these guys are tough. They've got shields. That's what that gold color is, so I have to break through that before I can actually hit the health. And I need to dash a little better than I've been doing. This is pretty tough, so you have to keep moving in this game. It is crucial to survival. And I'm mad because I've died in this game a couple times unnecessarily because I wasn't paying attention. That's the worst in a rogue game. When you didn't even die because it wasn't fair, or it had nothing to do with it being hard. It's, oh my god, how stupid am I turned away for a second, or I looked at something else, and now I'm dead. How down do I feel? So, we've got to... I love this shield so much. I love its boomerang effect. It has saved the day more than once for me. You can see, if I'm fast, I'm okay. You gotta go fast. You gotta go sonic speed, baby. Otherwise, you're dead. Boom, baby.
Had enough.
Woo! All right, our girl Aphrodite, smoking hot goddess. Now she's interesting because she is a later addition to the pantheon of gods. She is a goddess of love, but she may have originally been a goddess of war and love from Anatolia or even further Mesopotamia. So this might be Ishtar. And she later becomes Aphrodite, a Cretan goddess of love. And it doesn't matter. She's hot, is the point. And she's going to help us. So we get these boons from these 12 Olympian gods up above. And love it. We're a heartbreaker now, baby. Zagreus is so tasty hot, and I mean literally. So we just had help from Aphrodite. And... here's the deal. We have 12 Olympians. So before I can talk about Zagreus' history, let's review what we know. And I know you guys know this as well. But we have the 12 Olympians. And I wrote this down in case I blinked and forgot, because I always get nervous on camera. We have the 12 Olympians, and over the course of millennia, and we have a solidified 12. So you know the story. You have Zeus, the king of the gods, his wife, Queen Hera or Ira. Then we have the goddess of war and wisdom. And when I say war, I mean the more strategic part of war. That's Athena. Then we have the god of light and poetry and healing, Apollo. Then we have the god of the sea, Poseidon, so he's Zeus's brother. Then we have Aries, the god of war, and he's kind of the more violent aspect, passion aspect of war, right? Then we have Artemis, the twin of Apollo. She's the goddess of the hunt and virgins. We have Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. We have Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. And we have Dionysus, the party god. Everyone loves Dionysus. He's all about sex, drugs, alcohol, and rock and roll, baby. And then we've got Hermes. We've got the messenger god, but he has a dual aspect we'll talk about in just a little bit. And then we have the god of smithing. So we have the god Hephaestus, and he creates, and he swords, armor. He's a smith. That's what he does. So you've got the 12. Now, it should be noted that Dionysus actually replaced Hestia. Hestia is a goddess of the hearth. So she is a goddess of the domestic fire, of the household. She's such an intimate goddess, she's always with us. So even though she was replaced by Dionysus, she's so popular she became Vesta, as in Vestal virgins, and her eternal flame always had to be lit. Because you don't let the hearth fire go out. It provides warmth for your family, light for your family, it protects you from the elements, it protects you from wild animals that it might attack, it cooks your food. Hestia, even today, is still with us. What is the heart of the home? It's not the living room. It's not the dining room. It's not the entertainment room. It's the kitchen. So the heart of every home is still the kitchen. That hearth fire, that cook fire that heats your food and warms your house, that's still with us to this day. So she kind of got bumped, but she was still very important in the pantheon of gods. Now, there's one more god that you guys are very familiar with, who is the title of this game, and it's Hades. But why isn't Hades a part of the Olympian gods? We know him just as well as the other gods. Well, because he's literally an earth god.
That is far enough.
And he's about to talk to us. And he's grumpy.
Surrounded.
He's not happy that we got this far. He's very grumpy about that. He's just... It's really important you stay in his domain. We'll talk about that a little bit. But Hades is a god of the underworld. And his domain is under the earth. And his whole thing is that he oversees mortal souls. So, to the ancient Greeks, when you died, your soul exited your body. And this is where Hermes comes into play. So Hermes is popular for being the messenger of the gods, right? So he has a messenger staff. And that represents...
Seems I need to look for better help.
Hey, I got a chthonic key. That represents him being a representative of Zeus. So he's got a staff that says, I represent royalty, I represent the king of the gods, I give and take messages, that's my job. So he's very fast of foot, and he goes back and forth. But it's possible he actually replaced a goddess named Iris, who's rainbow. So if you look at rainbows, rainbows are attached to heaven and earth. That you see that arc. So it looks like they connect the two together. Hermes, in his earliest aspect, might be what is called a chthonic god, an underworld god. And we know this because he doesn't just have a staff of office that says, I'm a messenger. He's got a conductor wand, which has a different name. And in fact, if I go through all of my books, there is a word for it. So if we talk about the attributes of Hermes, this is from Prolegumena to the Study of Greek Religion by Jane Harrison. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But here's what she has to say about Hermes. The attributes of Hermes in the vase painting in Figure 7 are noticeable. In one hand, he holds his familiar herald staff, the Kyrikion. Sorry, these are really hard names for me to pronounce. But, and this is of interest, he is not using it. It is held in the left hand, inert. It is merely attributive, present, out of convention. The real implement of his agency in revoking the souls is held uplifted in his right hand. It would be, from your perspective, this hand. It is his rhabdos, his magic wand. This rhabdos is, I think, clearly to be distinguished from the Kyrikion, though ultimately the two became contaminated. The Kyrikion, or herald staff, is in intent a king's scepter, held by the herald as deputy. It is a staff, a walking stick, by which you are supported. The rhabdos is a simple rod, even a pliable twig, a thing not by which you are supported, but which you sway others. It is the enchanter's wand. And so Hermes actually, and here's the picture. Let me see if I can show it to you. Sorry, there's a delay. But you can see here, you can see a picture of Hermes with this particular specific wand. And what he's doing is he is conducting winged souls out of a jar, a pithos jar that is sunk into the earth. And in very ancient times, this is how you buried people. You put their body in a jar, and then Hermes uses a sort of a conductor's wand, let's say my son, to conduct the souls and lead them to the underworld. So this is actually what Hermes was known for. He wasn't just a messenger of the gods, he was also a guide to the underworld. And if you take a look at his wand, if we were to go back to that, hold on, I have to find it, but you would notice that he has two, a staff and a wand, and that his staff sometimes has twin snakes. This is really important, keep the snake theme in mind, because it is an underworld aspect. Snakes are messengers, like Hermes, of the underworld. So Hermes is a messenger of the god, but he's also a guide to the underworld. Snakes are considered to be messengers of the underworld. And Hermes was not the only god with an underworld aspect. The earliest forerunners of the 12 Olympians may have had chthonic aspects as well. In fact, even in ancient and classical times, some of the familiar gods you know, like Zeus, had an underworldly aspect. He was worshipped, for example, Zeus in archaic times was sometimes, in certain places, worshipped as a serpent, a bearded serpent. And his name was Melichios. So Zeus Melichios was I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was a underworld aspect of Zeus. Poseidon also had an underworld aspect. So he actually also had connotations with the earth. Athena, when she was worshipped in Athens, they kept a sacred snake on the Acropolis, or Acropolis, however you want to pronounce it. And when the Persians came to invade Greece in 480 BCE, the way that their leader Themistocles got people to leave the city, they were stubbornly going to stay, and he's like, this is not going to work, you're going to get steamrolled, we got to go to our ships. Our salvation is in our ships. That's how we're going to win the war, because Xerxes' army is practically invincible, but his weakness is on the water, and that's where our strength is. But to get people to evacuate, he tricked them into believing that the sacred snake, who represented whether Athena was in the city or not, that was kind of like a messenger or a representative.
Was that really
he
necessary?
Made it look so that the snake was not eating its monthly tribute of a cake. So every month the Athenians would leave a cake out to the sacred snake on the Acropolis, and if the snake ate the cake, it meant that Athena was with them, right? Like they had her divine protection. If it didn't eat it, that meant that the snake, aka not the snake but Athena, she was like gone. They no longer had her protection. So somehow Themistocles arranged for it to be so that it looked like the snake had not eaten the cake and that Athena had withdrawn her favor, and everyone panicked and left the city. So he did a little bit of sneaky stuff there. But that's how important that representative of the snake was. Another thing that is associated with Athena is the Gorgon. So the story goes that a priestess of Athena was, it's kind of a sad story, was basically raped by Poseidon. And because Athena couldn't punish Poseidon, she punished her priestess instead and turned her into a Gorgon. Now it's a little bit of a confused story because this Gorgon also happens to have sisters who are immortal. They're also Gorgons, and they all live in Libya. So they live in northern Africa. And they all hang out, and only Medea is mortal. The name Gorgon may actually have something to do with a mask. So a very ancient belief system. But that mask, that Gorgon head, had snakes and could turn men to stone. And when Theseus came along, with the help of Athena, he defeated the Gorgon, and then when she died, the Gorgon's head became part of Athena's aegis, her shield, her protective symbolism. But it's important to note that Gorgons had snake hair, and snakes are part of the underworld. So again, there's an underworld theme. In fact, if you look over here, you've got some kind of hot-looking Gorgons, right? You see the two Gorgons. And they may have been kind of protective against evil. So ancient Greeks, when they had their hoplite shields, would sometimes have a Gorgon on it to ward away evil. And again, Gorgon might mean mask. So we're talking about a really ancient thing. It's not clear what the story is, but it's really interesting. But that Gorgon, that snake aspect, is a part of Athena as well. So there's some sort of underworld attribute. Other gods that had otherworldly attributes are Dionysus. And Dionysus and Zagreus had the closest relationship. Dionysus may, ironically, if you look at more modern interpretations of ancient Greek religion, it seems like Dionysus is the youngest god. He, in fact, might be the oldest god. He is one of the oldest gods, at least. And his roots may go back thousands of years to either ancient Mesopotamia or Anatolia. It goes back so far, it's hard to see. However, this is really important. The thing about Dionysus is his theme is death and rebirth, death and rebirth. This is where the genius of this game comes in. I apologize, I know that I've meandered, but it's really important to set the stage for understanding the importance of Zagreus. Because we've got to understand his origins, which might be very ancient indeed. So there is either a Mesopotamian or an Anatolian god. Some sort of bull divinity that may be associated with the death and rebirth cycle of the harvest, right? Just the death and birth cycle in general.
That's what you get.
Right? So in winter everything dies, in spring it is reborn. It's possible at one point, if I read this correctly, that during the age of Taurus, when the constellation Taurus, the bull, was nicely aligned with the spring equinox, which is sort of representative of the rebirth of, of everything, spring, the coming of spring, there was some sort of bull cult or religion. And part of the religion had to do with bull sacrifice. This belief in death and rebirth and bull sacrifice and something to do with an agricultural type god made its way to the island of Crete. The island of Crete is this huge island in the middle of the Mediterranean. It is between 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa. So they got to cherry pick the best of each culture. So this very ancient bull-esque cult and belief made its way to Crete. Meanwhile, in ancient Egypt, there is a very ancient story about Osiris. And if you saw my Fire Emblem Three Houses episode on Sothis, Sirius, Saros, if you saw episodes 7, 8, and 9, you know it all ties into the importance of Sothis and Fire Emblem to this particular story of death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. And in the story in ancient Egypt, the story goes that Osiris was originally some sort of god of the harvest or agriculture and civilization, but he was killed by his jealous brother Set. Set dismembered his body and scattered it around so it couldn't be found. But Osiris's wife, Isis, found the pieces and put them back together again just long enough to conceive their son Horus before Osiris had to go back to the underworld, where he became ruler of the underworld. And he, along with a panel of 42 judges, judged humanity's life and decided their ultimate fate. So when you died in ancient Egyptian belief, everything was mummified except the heart. You took the heart down to the Hall of Judgment, where it was weighed on a scale. On the other side of the scale was a feather, to the god, which was a feather that represented the goddess Ma'at. And if your heart was as light as a feather, that might sound familiar, that still stays in our lexicon to this day. If your heart was as light as a feather, it meant you were guiltless, you lived a good life. If your heart was weighed down by sin, your heart was eaten by the personification of divine retribution, and you simply ceased to exist. So it was worse than hell, you just didn't exist, right? So if you were good, though, you went to the you went to the land of paradise, essentially. So you went to a place where there was just the sun was always shining, and it was really beautiful, and it was really awesome, and you got to go there. And some people think it was a metaphor for the Milky Way, right? Like, some pharaohs were preserved in the sky as stars, so you were eternally immortalized, which is really, really great for the ancient Egyptians. Sorry, it's a little bright. And that was how you lived forever, which is really great. So you had this story of a god who is killed, killed, dismembered, put back together, and is reborn. Combine that with a bull cult, right? And you may get the very, very, very early forerunner of Dionysus. And what is this god's name? Zagreus. That might be the god's name, a Cretan deity who was a consort to possibly the mother goddess of Crete. And his cult, after a while, actually was reintroduced to Western Turkey, Anatolia, and may have spread as far as Thrace, where he is known as Dionysus. Over time, this Thracian god, so there's this god in the northern parts of Anatolia and the northern parts of Europe, is reintroduced back into Greece, right, and gets mixed up with the Indo-European gods that come from, so the Minoans are actually not Greek, they're pre-Greek. Then these tribes from Europe, these Indo-European tribes, come into Greece. Their gods might be three aspects of one god, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, all of which who have a chthonic underworld side. And then you start getting the early pantheon of ancient Greek gods that encompass some of these older gods, like Poseidon is a Minoan god. They're early forerunners of him. There's an early forerunner of Athena. There's an early forerunner of Artemis, etc., but they start slowly over time evolving into the 12 Olympians we know today. A latecomer is Dionysus, but here's the irony about Dionysus. He's such an ancient god, he's reintroduced in a new way. So it's like an old god dies, but is reborn as a younger god, right? It's him in a younger aspect. He's a little different, but clearly recognizable. So he dies and is reborn. And so he's reborn as Dionysus. He comes from Thrace into Greece. He's reintroduced in a different way to Greece. And he's the party god, but he's also a wild god, right? Like he's a wild god who, you know, part of the religion all the way from ancient Crete with Zagreus, the way you worship this god is kind of interesting. And so I wanted to talk about Zagreus, the Cretan god, specifically. But before I do that, let's play a little more of the game, because I want to give you guys time to absorb everything I just said.
Oh no.
Well, Zach.
Oh no.
Any last
Megara.
requests this time before?
Right, she's a fury, and you don't mess with furies. Furies are avenging goddesses. And they usually come after mortals who have done something particularly bad. Some people think they may be a metaphor for like a guilty conscience, because they never stop hounding people, like 3Ds. And there's a whole story with that, and I walked into that, and I was stupid. And if I die because of my own stupidity here, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be so mad. At any rate, so you've definitely got a bit of a fight on your hands. But we're talking about the actual story of Zagreus. Now, Robert Greaves has a good summation about this story. But the reason I didn't tell that story first is it's very late in the game. It comes from the Orphic Hymns. And the Orphic Hymns are pretty late in ancient Greek history. And so it's kind of important to set the stage before we talk about Zagreus. Well, we'll talk about his history in a moment because it ties back into Dionysus. So Dionysus is reborn as this god who is tied to bulls. He's also tied to wine. He's tied to very ancient agricultural beliefs. In fact, something that Dionysus was originally a vine or tree god. But he's actually tied to Zagreus, his forerunner. And we know that we guess he's a forerunner because the stories about Zagreus have a ancient feel to them. And I'll read that in just a second. Sorry. First we gotta take care of business. We gotta take care of business. Again, we've got this wonderful, see, I blinked and I missed it. My eyes are super dry and I'm tired. And also I just wasn't paying attention. That might be more important. Lady, you're making me mad. Too hot. I don't want to die here. It doesn't need to be this way. That's what I hate in this game. There's been 2 or 3 times where I've died for no reason, where it's like, it's not even hard, it's just me not paying attention. There's a lot going on, and then I'll feel good, but then I'll hit the wrong button, or I'll do the wrong thing, and I'm like, oh, that was totally unnecessary. Ah, see? I meant to get out of that, and I didn't. Sometimes it happens when you're just not... You're like, I could do better. I could absolutely do better. Just one of those things where even if I make it out of here, it's going to be tough going forward in Asphodel. Don't have to die like this. It doesn't have to be this way. No! I knew that was going to happen and I still hit the wrong button. Oh, stupid. Stupid. Stupid, Zagreus. You knew better than that. You're smarter than that. You're better than that. Lady, you're driving me crazy. We're so close. Alright, we did it. But that was clumsy. I'm not going to get far in Asphodel because it was stupid. Okay, so let's talk about the story of Zagreus. Let's do it. Because I want to read it to you guys. Actually, I don't even have to look it up. I can just look it up here. Alright. Good job, me. I actually got some good rewards.
For the mirror.
So we look at Zagreus. Athena. Dionysus' nature and deeds. Where is it? Zagreus. Okay. Here's the story of Zagreus according to Robert Graves. Zeus secretly begot his son Zagreus on Persephone in the form of a serpent, before she was taken to the underworld by her uncle Hades. He set by his sons, the Cretan Curites, or some say the Corybantes, to guard his cradle in the Idaean cave on Crete, where they leaped about him, clashing their weapons, as they had leaped about Zeus himself at Dicte. But the Titans, Zeus's enemies, whitening themselves with gypsum until they were unrecognizable, waited until the Curites slept. At midnight they lured Zagreus away by offering him such childish toys as a cone, a bull roarer, golden apples, a mirror, a knucklebone, and a tuft of wool. Zagreus showed courage when they murderously set upon him, and went through several transformations in an attempt to delude them. He became successfully Zeus in a goatskin coat, Kronos making rain, a lion, a horse, a horned serpent, a panther, and a bull. At that point, the Titans seized him firmly by the horns and feet, tore him apart with their teeth, and devoured his flesh raw. Athena interrupted this grisly banquet shortly before its end, and rescuing Zagreus' heart, enclosed it in a gypsum figure into which she breathed life, so that Zagreus became an immortal. His bones were then collected and buried at Delphi, and Zeus struck the Titans dead with thunderbolts. So there are alternative stories where Zeus kept the heart, but he mixed it in a potion and gave it to his lover so that she would give birth to Zagreus anew. There's another one that says that Zeus and his lover Semele, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but she wanted to see Zeus in his god form, but he warned her, like, you really don't want to do that. Mortals can't handle the sight of gods. They will literally, like, burn up. She insisted, or she made him promise, and when he reveals himself in a flash of lightning, she is literally struck down. But the child she was pregnant with, Zagreus, was still alive and put into Zeus's thigh and kept there until he was a young adult, where he could spring forth as a full adult and he wouldn't be in any danger. Now, here's the key to the story. These, sorry, wrong pipe. The story of Zagreus that we know isn't even about Zagreus. It's about Dionysus. This comes from the Orphic Hymns, and the Orphic Hymns were written 2,000 years ago. The Orphic Hymns take the cult of Dionysus, that rabid rip apart and put back together and eat and consume your god, And they make it more gentle. They make it so that that actually is a sacrifice of this god who died and is reborn. He dies in pain but is reborn. In the original Dionysus cult, as you probably know, the Maionids, the way they worshiped Dionysus was to rip small animals apart and eat the flesh raw. And that might go all the way back to ancient Crete to a deity known as Zagreus, who was this possible amalgam of Osiris and the idea of ripping apart and putting a god back together so they're reborn, and something about a bull cult and the underworld, a chthonic god that got put together. And that traveled all the way to Thrace, and then it traveled all the way to Greece, and then according to the Orphic Hymns, which reinterprets the story, it's not that you're supposed to consume that god, it's that it's bad, and that Zeus ends up striking the Titans down for the sin of killing his son. And the remnants of the Titans actually becomes humans. That's one version of many Greek stories. But Zagreus becomes Dionysus Zagreus, a hyphenated name. And it's ironic because Dionysus' early forerunner is Zagreus. But the old version of the god dies. He's called Old Dionysus in some commentaries, and then he becomes Dionysus. So he's Dionysus Zagreus. He is a god that is literally and figuratively reborn. His ancient form dies, but he is born anew as a new god with the same or similar attributes, which is so fitting for this game, because what is Zagreus doing? He's dying and being reborn. He's dying and being reborn. But he dies and becomes a little more powerful, or becomes a little more energetic, and so he can't escape his chthonic roots, just like Zagreus cannot escape his real roots.
I'll just be a moment,
but
Father.
He's reborn as younger and a little bit different. And so here we are, right?
My keepsake collection.
With Zagreus dying and being reborn, trying to escape Hades. The irony is he'll never fully, even if he escapes Hades, he'll never escape that chthonic aspect of himself. It's brilliant, and that's what's great about this game. Is it could be that Supergiant Games just did a quick sorry, I'm just adjusting myself here, but it could be that Supergiant Games just did a quick Google search. Does Hades have any kids? Well, there's this one kid named Zagreus, but in fact Zagreus is all about death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. He is born, pulled apart, put back together again, and reborn. And it goes all the way back to Osiris and possibly an Anatolian or Mesopotamian god come together. That god is reintroduced to the east. He is possibly an amalgam of that and another Thracian god, and then makes his way to Greece. But he is reborn, dies and is reborn, dies and is reborn. He continues to live. And that is what's great about Zagreus in this game, is he continues to live, which is fan-freaking-tastic. It's a really smart commentary. We're actually going to put the puppy collar on.
Oh, that's cold.
Yes, absolutely this.
Can't buy that.
All right. And I love this. So Aries, if you don't know, is a goddess of strife, chaos and strife. So this is really important to know. Yes, this game is excellent. I absolutely recommend this game. I haven't even won it technically, and I'm already recommending it. I'm terrible at, if you're like me and you're terrible at these type of games, do not worry, because this game is very aware that it wants you, it's aware that you're struggling with it, and it wants to reward you for learning your lessons. It wants you to keep going, so that's really important. Also, I did want to talk about Dionysus from this book, Gods, Men, and Wine. This is an excellent book. It is a tome of a book. I actually found it in an old used bookstore. And I actually talk about, like, it talks about a wine god who used to be a tree god, how he's represented by vines and ivy, anything that grows, right? He's part of the Minoan religion. He may have some early aspects in Anatolian religion or something from Mesopotamia that goes all the way back to like 7000 BCE. It's really, really fantastic, and I was trying to find that quote so I make sure that I had that right. But it gives you an idea of how old this belief system is. But almost every ancient religion has some sort of agricultural aspect to it, right? These are very, very ancient gods. And it's really, really fascinating. I was just trying to find the specific quote about Dionysus Zagreus. This thing is so huge. Trying to find the exact quote, which I can't quite right now, but it is definitely in here. But at any rate, it's interesting to talk more about the aspect. You know what, I'm just gonna use this as a pillow. But the interesting thing about Dionysus is he's always had an underworld aspect. In fact, there was a festival in ancient Athens that was a 3-day festival, and it's sort of like our Halloween or our All Hallows Eve. Now, it became a fun, awesome festival where it was 3 days of getting drunk. So you had one day of opening wine jars, and they had another day of like dedicating or sipping the wine jars, and then a third day. And the third day is interesting because you shared a feast with the dead to represent like the new spring bounty, and then you shooed the dead away after that. But it was partly a sort of a Day of the Dead celebration. Well, originally it was all a Day of the Dead. Before Dionysus came into Athens, this was a funerary type festival, Day of the Dead, where the opening of the jars was the opening of grave jars. In very ancient times, people would be buried in jars that were put in the ground. And so it still had that kind of ghostly aspect, even when Dionysus came and livened things up, and then the jars became less about jars of the dead and more about, woo, jars of wine, let's all get drunk and have fun. So it became a much more friendly festival. But Dionysus, kind of being a chthonic underworld god, when we think of red, what do we think of? We think of blood. So grape juice, wine juice has always been a metaphor for blood. That was always an ancient early aspect, and that continued. And notice that Zagreus is covered in red. And it's interesting
this
because
place has definitely seen better days.
This is asphodel, it's all covered in lava. The floor is lava, we can't touch the lava. But it's important, this symbol of red, because when priests did dedications to the dead, they wore red. That's a really important theme. It meant blood. So I mentioned that there are two ways you could worship the gods. You could worship the gods of the sky, which was the Olympians. And the way you worshiped them is that you had an altar that was built up, and then when you sacrificed animals, if I'm remembering, this is all off the top of my head, so I have to remember, but I think you lifted their chin so they were facing the sky, and then you cut their throat, and then you chop the animal up, and then you put aside the fat of the animal, and when you grilled it, the smoke would go up and please the gods, and then you would share out the meat amongst your community. So it was a very communal feast. You were feasting with the gods. So everyone got to enjoy this sacrifice. So it was a sacrifice for the gods. Thank you so much. Quid pro quo, like, could you please help us continue to protect us, and we give you these sacrifices? And God's like, sure. So it was all very nice. With the gods of the underworld, and they did worship the gods of the underworld, it was more about placating those gods. So if you read the Odyssey and Odysseus's trip to see the dead and how he had to call upon them, instead of doing an animal that was pure white, like for, say, the Olympians, you had to have an animal that was all black to represent the black earth and the underground. And then in the Odyssey, if I remember this correctly, Odysseus cuts the throat of the animal and the blood spills into the ground. So you build a trench, or you dig a trench, and the blood spills into the ground and is absorbed by the ground so that the dead can drink the blood, and it satiates them and it allows them to remember who they are. Because in ancient Greek religion, apparently, once you went to the underworld, you actually didn't necessarily remember who you are. And so the way you remember is you were summoned by the living, and they would sacrifice an animal, and people would drink the blood, remember who they are, and then you would ask the dead whatever you wanted. And there was actually an oracle of the dead, which I have a book on that, where'd it go? Where'd that book go? Oh no. I gotta pay attention. But I have a book all about the Oracle of the Dead. And it's really important. And part of the reason a blood sacrifice may have been important in certain cases was to placate vengeful ghosts. You would go through, if you murdered someone, you had to go through a whole ritual in which you had a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice, or covered yourself in blood to pretend that it's your blood, and that the dead would drink the blood and think it was you, and they'd be satiated because they were upset, they were angry. So for whatever reason, the dead needed blood. Either it would satiate their anger, or for whatever reason, it made them remember who they were. But it was a huge part of it. And the other part of the cult of the dead was that, unlike communal happy feasting with the Olympian gods, in order to properly sacrifice to the dead, you had to have a holocaust. No part of the animal could be eaten. The whole animal had to be burned and had to be given to the gods of the underworld to placate them. Like, hey man, I need your help, and you've got some gnarly powers, and I want to respect that, so I'm going to give you an entire sacrifice. I'm not going to eat any part of it and keep it for myself. It's all yours. It was a huge part of sacrificing to the underworld. We're out of here.
Moving right along.
Right. Sorry. I keep looking because there's so much information and I want to get it right. I feel like it's inauspicious if I get it wrong, right? Like, oh no. I hope I get it right. Because there's so much to know. And not all of it is necessarily agreed upon by scholars. That's the other thing that makes me nervous. Like, what if I'm getting this all wrong and I'm telling you the wrong thing? I've read so much stuff about this. And it's like, I want to make sure that I get it right. Because these are very ancient things, and when you worship the dead, when you sacrifice to the dead, also it's important to note that the altar was not high up, it was lower to the ground. So that the blood, or whatever you were putting into the earth, whether it was libation or blood, so whether wine or blood or whatever, would seep into the earth. It was closer to the earth. So there was, for sure, there was a different set of rules between how you worship the Olympian gods and how you worship the chthonic underworld gods. And if you're watching this and you're like, nope, that's not right, it's actually this, feel free to leave a comment. Because unfortunately, I didn't have time to get all the notes that I wanted. I brought all these books down, and I was going to bookmark everything and going to double check and make sure that I printed out all my notes. And unfortunately, because of technical difficulties, I was not able to do as much as I wanted before the stream started. So I'm talking a lot out of memory, and I could be getting things wrong.
Consider this a warning.
So I apologize for that.
Oops, I gotta run.
And I hope most of this is right. It is absolutely
Slam dancers.
a lot of information. And the problem is I don't have the best memory, so I'm trying to remember everything. I've read so many things on ancient Greece. I have 40 books on ancient Greece now. And I brought down all these books. And I didn't get a chance to bookmark everything before the stream started, so I hope I'm not in trouble for getting all this possibly wrong. Although I'm pretty sure a lot of this is, I've got the right idea. Because it's interesting. I remember things that are really interesting to me. And absolutely, this is super, super interesting. And I do know for sure. I'll tell you what I absolutely remember for sure. There were two different ways to worship the Olympians and the underground gods. There was a lower altar, a higher altar. Holocausts were for the dead. And then communal eating and reserving the sort of fatty parts of the meats for the Olympian gods is definitely a thing. You wore red when you sacrificed to the underworld gods. At least in certain situations, for sure. It represents blood. Blood can placate vengeful ghosts. Yes! Poseidon! Who also has a chthonic underside. So he actually has an epithet that basically means an underworld god, even very early on. I actually talk about that in a Kid Icarus video that I did for a freelance project that is still not out yet, but hopefully will be soon. Yeah! Thanks, Poseidon, you're awesome. I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. What's this? With any help or anything? I talked about Hermes. He does have an underworld aspect. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, hero cults. That's what I wanted to talk about. Hero cults were also underworldly. So heroes tended to usually be mortal or demigods. So they were not worshipped like the sky gods. They were more like underworld gods. And so some of the rules that apply to the underworld gods also apply to them as well. Here's what this book, Introducing New Gods, has to say about that. The earliest conclusive evidence for the presence of hero cult in Attica and Greece generally also dates from the time of Cynicism around 750 to 700 BCE. Less potent than a god or a goddess, a hero had the special advantage of being the exclusive property of the community in which he lodged, whether tribal, local, or national. Unlike his divine counterparts, therefore, he was not subject to any possible conflicts of interest when his community went to war. Hero cult, too, seems to have had a major hand in the formation of the polis, though there is a disagreement as to what precise form that took. The phenomenon was largely inspired by the excavation of Mycenaean tholos and chamber tombs, whose size and architectural elaboration, together with the quality of costliness of their burial goods, powerfully stirred the Greek imagination. Eventually, the impulse to pay homage to a heroic past was no longer confined to the occupants of Mycenaean tombs, but even to recent burials as well. As a branch of chthonic religion, hero cult formed a counterpart to the worship of the Olympian deities and was characteristically attended by blood sacrifice and libations. There it is! That's what I was talking about. Typical offerings of suitably heroic flavor include miniature terracotta horses and shields, bronze tripods and cauldrons of the kind that would have served as prizes at funeral games, and drinking cups such as might have been found for pouring libations to the dead. So that was also a huge thing in ancient times, was the hero cult, which also had a chthonic or underworld aspect, because many of these humans or demigods didn't always attain apotheosis or the ability to go to Olympus. I think Hercules is one of the few exceptions. And even then, he might have been worshipped as god and also hero. Man, I love the design of this place. It's hard as heck, but it is so good. This game is so good, you guys. So again, if we rehearse who Zagreus is, he is a very ancient deity. He may be a mix of an old Anatolian or Mesopotamian god and has aspects of the Osiris cult or religion in him. He was definitely from Minoan Crete. He may be an early forerunner of Dionysus, or even has aspects of Poseidon, or may have something to do with Poseidon. Again, the story goes of a young man who was born, died, dismembered, and reborn. And in Minoan Crete, there was possibly a religion in which cult members or religious members of this particular sect would rip apart a bull or some sort of small animal and eat its flesh raw. And it had something to do with the death and rebirth cycle. That seems a little bit extreme, but there seems to be evidence of that later in the Dionysus cult, at least according to archaic art. But also, if you are familiar with ancient Minoan culture, you know that there is some evidence of child sacrifice on Crete. And if I remember this off the top of my head correctly, even possibly of cannibalism.
In the name of Hades.
So, the calf or animal that used to be sacrificed might have actually been a young boy who was sacrificed, torn asunder, and eaten. It's hard to say, but it is a little scary. So Zagreus' cult is reintroduced in Asia, where he may get mixed up with another god. Whatever the case, that god becomes Bacchus or Dionysus, is introduced to Greece, ends up being the god of wine and parties, has sort of a crazy fun but also scary aspect and an underworld aspect as well. And then hundreds of years later, he is reintroduced through the Orphic mysteries as more gentle and kind. Younger, gentler, kinder Dionysus. He becomes Dionysus Zagreus, as in the old aspect of Dionysus, the very early aspect of Dionysus is reintroduced to a newer version of him, and you get this hyphenated Dionysus Zagreus combination. The god is literally and figuratively is killed and reborn, killed and reborn, die, reborn, die, reborn, die, reborn. And in this game, the theme is you die and are reborn, you die or reborn. You can't escape the cycle of life and death because your father is Hades and your mother is, spoiler alert, whom I won't say, but it ties right into death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. So in a way, your father Hades is right. Like, you can try to escape this ridiculous cycle, but in fact, if he is truly Zagreus or Dionysus Zagreus, he can't really escape this death and life cycle. He's a literal embodiment of death and rebirth. Death and rebirth. And so it's really crazy. Whether Supergiant Games meant it to be that literal of a translation, I have no idea. But I still think it's kind of wild, right? I just think it plays beautifully into this game. At any rate, that is the story of Zagreus. Zagreus, in the most common story, is the son of Zeus and Persephone before she is carried away by Hades. He is born, and according to one version of the story, it's Hera who wants him killed. He's a threat to her position. It's another bastard son of Zeus, as Hera says in God of War 3. Another bastard. He is a threat to her children and her position as queen. She wants him dead. Zeus senses the danger, tries to hide his son in a cave in Crete, but the Titans find him anyway. They lure him out with toys. Those toys actually might be, according to Robert Graves, the author of this book, might actually be symbolically items that were used in some sort of ritual associated with the early form of Dionysus Zagreus, as in Zagreus. And he is ripped apart by the Titans, eaten alive except for his heart, which is saved, which allows him to be reborn, depending on which story you believe, in one of many ways, but he is reborn. And so the cycle of death and rebirth is his theme. And if I don't get out of that lava, I'm going to die and have to be reborn. It's getting wild here. What the heck is going on? I don't even think we've gotten to the death boat yet. This is rough. This is rough going. This is super rough. I hate this. This sucks. This sucks. I can't even see what's going on. I'm just sort of dashing and hoping. I hate these things. They're the literal worst. They will forever be my worst enemy. Bombs, they're trash, they're garbage, they're poop. Where'd it go? Wow. I probably didn't deserve that, but here we are. I hate this whole the floor is lava thing. This is the worst! The absolute worst. Oh my god, where's a barge? I want to get the hell out of here. Pomegranate! So pomegranates mean rejuvenation. So if you know the story of Hades and Persephone, you know that Persephone gets spirited away by her uncle Hades. She's this beautiful goddess. She's the daughter of Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. She is spotted by Hades one day, the eldest of the gods, but also the god of the underworld. He falls in love with her. Instead of asking her politely, will you come away with me? He just spirits her away and takes her to the underworld and makes her his queen. But he makes her his queen because she gets down there, she refuses to eat anything. She's like, no. Because she knows that if she eats anything in the underworld, she has to stay in the underworld. Once you eat the food of the dead, you're locked in. You either have to die or eat the food of the underworld to be locked into the underworld. Poor thing gets so hungry, she's so desperate, she sneaks 3 pomegranates. She eats 3 pomegranates, and she's like, okay, it's fine. No one's gonna see that. And then somebody tattles on her to Hades, and he's like, rad. Well, Hermes, the messenger god, and his chthonic aspect comes to take her back to Olympus because Persephone's mom, as you know the story, is so upset her daughter has disappeared, she refuses to make anything grow, which is how we get winter, is nothing grows. For 3 months, nothing grows in the year because Demeter's like, everything sucks, my daughter is gone, this is trash, I'm not eating anything, or I'm not going to let anything grow. Meanwhile, her daughter doesn't want to eat anything until she takes 3 little pomegranates, but when Hermes takes her up to Olympus, Hades lodges a complaint and is like, she ate 3 seeds, so she has to stay in the underworld. And Zeus is like, but Demeter is not letting anything grow. We got to come to a compromise because everything on Earth will die if Demeter doesn't get her way. So we need to be fair about this. So for 3 months out of the year, to represent the 3 pomegranates, Persephone has to stay with you, Hades. She will stay with you during winter. Otherwise, she gets to be on the earth with her mother, where everything grows, right? But during the winter, she has to stay with you. So that's the whole explanation for spring and fall, Now there's an alternative story, which isn't quite well as known to us now, about Adonis, Aphrodite, and Persephone, where Persephone and Aphrodite fall in love with the same boy, Adonis, but they have to share him for part of the year. Now this might be possibly the older version of the story where there's a goddess and her consort has to leave and come back. If I'm remembering that correctly, that's an alternative to the story. But it's an explanation for the natural phenomenon of spring, summer, fall, and winter. But for the ancient Greeks, there were only 3... Hydra! I've never gotten this far! Oh god. This isn't good. I have no idea how to fight this thing. I've never made it this far. I didn't even think I was close to the Hydra. And I'm really scared to get it down because Hydra is Hydra and Hydra will have extra heads. I've never gotten this far! This is only like my 12th or 13th attempt at this game. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Hydra, also being a serpent, is a chthonic type thing. The many-headed Hydra. Hydra means a water serpent. Hydra in the name. Stay hydrated, which I would do except in drinking wine, which dehydrates you. Also, this is the cutest Hydra I've ever seen. He's in almost skeleton form, but he's still adorable. I love him. I'm gonna keep him. He's my friend. I'll name him Hydra. Hydra. This is gonna be rough. Because there's gonna be a third one. There's gonna be at least a third Hydra head that appears. Many-headed Hydra. That's not a joke. This is not a drill. What am I doing, people? I've never made it this far, and I don't think I'm going to survive. This thing's going to kick my ass. I respect the Hydra. One must respect a pet snake. Get out of the lava, you stupid. The floor is lava. The floor is the sticks. Ah, I ran into that. Stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. What? These things are following me! Cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater. Speaking of chthonic, it is almost Halloween. Is anyone going to dress up for Halloween? Since none of us should go out or can't go out. We really shouldn't go out. I'm not doing any trick-or-treating this year. Like, we're not giving out candy this year. We're like, nope, sorry, you gotta stay indoors. Mask isn't going to do it, so I'm going to cheat. Stay indoors, have a good time. Dress up with your family. I might still dress up just for fun, but definitely no trick-or-treating. No parties. But I wouldn't, even if it wasn't COVID-19 plague year, I have no idea what I would dress up as. So last year I dressed up as April O'Neil. That was super fun. This year, I have no idea. The year before, I dressed up as Cassandra from Assassin's Creed. I was actually thinking about wearing the Assassin's Creed robe that I have, and I couldn't find it. Did I throw it away, or did I put it away? Oh, okay, that one's impervious. I'm not paying attention. You know what would help, Megan? Paying attention. It says it's impervious, which means you have to go to the other head, like a smart person. Why don't you be a smart person, Megan? Stupid lava! Lava. Garbage! I don't know what I want to be. Like, I'm probably not going to dress up for Halloween this year. It just doesn't make any sense. But if I did, what should I dress as? And it can't be anything too elaborate or expensive. That's just not the year for it. It has to be something fairly simple. Something I can actually do for, like, a live stream. Like, if I did a Halloween live stream, what would I play? And what would I dress as? I can't be mad at Snake. I can't step on Snake. I can't step on Snake. He's too cute. You're so cute! He's a cutie butt. He's a cutie butt. I love my cutie butt. I love my snake. I'm gonna give him a cake. The ancient Greeks gave Athena's snake a cake. It's still impervious. Where's the other head? This is dumb. Head. I don't know what I'm doing! Whoa! Well, whatever I thought I had. I walked into that. I walked into that like an idiot. That's what idiots do, Megan. They lose. Are you a loser? Are you a big loser? Is that what you are? You little loser? Poopy butt. You're a big poopy butt. Bad snake. Bad snake. Bad. Ooh, stop being a poopy butt. Sorry. I don't know why I'm talking to a baby. It's not a baby snake. Oh, I fell in the lava! You're not... Are you ever gonna win, Megan? Because you suck at this. Good lord. You're better than this. I'm just not mad at myself. I'm just disappointed. Just like Hades. He's not mad at his son. He's just disappointed. Bad snake. Bad snake. I'm gonna boop you in the nose. Boop you in the nose. Here we go. Your nose. I got your nose. Oh, oh God. Oh God. What? Get out of here, snake. Get out of here, snake. This is garbage. What is this? How am I what am I supposed to do against this joke? What? Game? That is cheap. You know better than that. Smart. This is what the Hydra would probably do. Boo! I was doing well! Now I'm dying! I was doing well! Bad snake! Bad snake! Bad snake! Bad snake! Bad snake! You go to your room. Bad snake. I want to get one head. Bad snake. Bad snake. We're still impervious. Ah! 923. Garbage. Bad snake. Bad snake. You're a very bad snake. Go to your room. Bad snake. Oh God, I'm dying. The floor is lava. The floor is lava, Megan. The floor is lava. The floor is lava. The floor is lava. Don't forget the lava. It's a big part of the thing. Bad snake. Who's left? Who is left? No one's left. Ah, death-defied! Didn't deserve it, but here we go. Bad snake. Bad snake. Bad snake. I'm so close! Very bad snake.
Not now.
Bad snake. I'm so close, but I'm not gonna make it. I'm just gonna die, and I'm just pissed about it. Pardon my language. Bad snake. Boop you in the nose. Bad snake. Boop. Boop. I'm not ignoring you guys, by the way. I literally cannot look at the comments right now. I will die. I'm gonna die anyway. It's part of the death and life cycle. You can't escape it. Oh my God, I did it! I vanquished the Hydra on the first try!
More heads you'd like chopped off?
What?
No?
I did it! Hold on. I know you guys can see me, but I have to celebrate. I did it! Woo! I beat the snake! I beat the snake! Oh, I did it! I beat the snake! Holy crap! I will never pull it off again, but I actually have it on video. I beat the snake. I booped it in the nose. Bad snake. My dad is not gonna like this. Woo! Do 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 do. All right, we're out of asphodel. Woo! You guys are lucky. You guys are my lucky charm. I beat the snake. I know it's annoying, but I'm in a very silly mood. It might be the wine. Woo! Another one out for Dionysus. The key is not to overthink it. The key is to relax and have fun. I will remember that going forward. Yes! No step on snake. The key is to boop it. Boop it in the nose. I guess. Oh, but this really helped me. Here, Kiss of Styx. I love that. Kiss of Styx. Styx being the main river, or the most famous river of the underworld. Now, what's interesting about the underworld is there was actually more than one. You know, I'm gonna turn this off. Entrance. Sorry, it got a little dark. But there's more than one entrance to the underworld in Greek mythology. So keep that in mind. there were famous places, and one of those famous places was in a specific oracle of the dead on the island of Corfu. So if we read Mysteries of the Oracles by Philip Vandenberg, he talks about he flies to Corfu, and then he goes to a place called Ephyra. And it lies north of a village called Mesopotamon, and it's where the Oracle of the Dead got its name, and it's a late Mycenaean city of which only a few remains have been preserved. Now he goes on to talk about this crazy temple that had like a labyrinth of doors, and apparently you went in there and you were kept in the dark for literally like almost a month, and you were sometimes transferred from place to place. You got turned around, it was dark. If I remember correctly, you were sometimes drugged or given alcohol, so you had this very sort of crazy out-of-body experience. And then at the end, you would go to the Oracle of the Dead, and the dead would tell you the answer to whatever you ask, and then immediately you're let out of the labyrinth back into like bright light, and that was your experience with the Oracle of the Dead. So it was a very, very ancient oracle. And it's just really, really interesting. And so I'm finding a quote here. So it's all about, like, when Odysseus in the Odyssey, he has to know how to get home, and he actually consults the dead. But he can't talk to them until he makes a blood sacrifice. The blood pours into the earth. The shades come up, they drink the blood, they remember who they are, and then they tell him what he has to do. So it says in this one quote, "The Oracle of the Dead at Ephyra presented a puzzling picture of long corridors from which narrow doors opened into little rooms, corridors that changed direction, labyrinthine passageways to a central sanctuary of several rooms, above all of which the church," so it was a church built on top of this ancient oracle, "now hung. I soon lost my sense of direction. The blood pounded in my temples as I realized that here in this unearthly place the legendary Odysseus, weary from years of wandering, had sought advice from the souls of the dead. Quote, 'Dig a trench,' Odysseus was told by the lovely enchantress Circe, 'about a cubit long and a cubit in breadth, 17 or 18 inches. Around this trench pour offerings to all the dead, first with honey mixed with milk, then with sweet wine, and last of all with water. Over this sprinkle white barley.'" And so you gave offerings to the dead. Even today, what do? We pour one out for somebody. So we pour one out for somebody, which I'm not going to do because I have a carpet that I really don't want to ruin, so I hope that I'm not in trouble for that. But at any rate, so that is what you did, and the Oracle of the Dead was very important. But the idea of a sacrifice in which liquid was saturated the ground was a huge part of the cult of the dead. The River Styx is one of the main rivers of the underworld. It was not the only one. It's kind of the most famous one, however. And we'll see when we run into Charon again, he ferried souls across the river to the other side of Hades. And again, once you're in, you don't get out. Yes. Whoops. Wait, we want more.
Exactly what I need.
Yes, absolutely. We're death-defying, baby. Look at Puppy. I just want to say that. Look at Puppy.
That's the farthest I've come. Good.
Okay, thanks, David. Sorry, I just saw that. All right, so we continue our journey. I don't know if we're going to make it. And we are in
The Fields of Elysium.
the Fields of Elysium. Woo! And again, what I love about this game is the bright, vibrant colors. I love the butterflies, too. Fantastic. So we're not out of Hades, but it's about to get a lot harder, but a lot prettier, apparently. And just because I'm so cool, I'm going to put on these shades because my eyes are very sensitive to light. So don't mind me. I hope I don't look too stupid. I didn't mean to do that. I was just about to admire these statues. They're beautiful. They are very beautiful. I'm not sure what bird they're supposed to be. Birds, of course, are not necessarily... At least I don't think so. I don't think they're messengers of the underworld. Of course, they're messengers of the sky. It is serpents that we would see to represent the underworld. Alright, what do we want? Which way do we want to go? But I love the green of the Elysium fields. And these are different looking shades, and they're cool with whatever. Let's see what the game has to say about Elysium. I love the draw distance too. It's really pretty. Love it. I don't know which way to go. Alright. Also, the key to this is the shield. I've never gotten any further. Okay, that obviously, right there, this beautiful statue that looks like Athena. You can see her hoplite shield in her left arm through the arm. And then you can see her 8-foot, 9-foot ash pike spear, which I've talked about in other history and games, particularly AC Odyssey. So you can see this is actually almost very Spartan. She's got her hoplite spear and shield.
Bright swords.
She's ready to rock. She's also got a little bit of that Corinthian helmet look about her. Who the hell are you? Who are these hotties? I can't see what it says. Yikes, but we're not gonna mess around. These guys look like if they catch you, they'll hit you hard, and so they did.
Is that him?
That eyeball, is that him? Who's them? Who's them? What? Wait, what? I don't know what's happening. Oh, that thing.
Damn, he's recovered.
Okay, is that what I'm really trying to go after? Okay, good to know. It's like, what are you talking about, Zagreus? I don't even know. Oh, I love this game so much. Go away. What? There's more? You stupid game. You're just not gonna make this easy for me. I mean, I know that's not your job, but this still sucks. What even is this? This is such a joke. What? Okay, those statues are kicking my butt. Go away, bad statues. What a joke.
Good enough.
Oh my gosh. Bad statues, bad. Everything misbehaves in this game. Can I go this way, please? Thank you. Extra cool mode activated. I don't know about that. But that's okay. Ah! These statues look... Are those chariots attacking me? Nah, mate. What? Bad chariot, bad. Who is driving you? No, shoot. Leave me alone. You're bullying me. I mean, they're kind of helping. There's a way to do this so that they'll hit the chariots and not me. There we go. But I can't quite figure out how to do that. There's a timing thing here. No! It's not there. Bad chariot. No, there's more! I want to do this. Come here. Thing. That thing. What are those things? Those orbs? I don't know what those are. Ah, I ran into them now. Stupid thing. I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna be so mad I have to go all the way back to the beginning. I'll have to fight the Hydra again. I'll have to fight Meg again. I'll have to fight whatever these are again. This is why I suck at road games. I don't have the patience for them. Even though it gets easier in this game, I'm gonna be so grumpy that I have to start over. I'm gonna do it anyway. That's how good this game is. I'm like, I complain and bitch and moan, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Because it's so much fun. And I love that every time you die, you learn a little bit more about the story and world, which is such a great bomb for when you die. And you're like, yes, you have to start over, but it actually serves a purpose. It's not just ha 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 ha. What is hitting me? Trash monkey. Stop it. Alright. Yes.
It just grows stronger.
Right. Which one do I want? I don't know. What is this? We need gifts. We need gifts.
Long spears.
Ah. Wait, whatever you are. What you are. I have to keep moving, so I can't stop to see what they are. Like, there's something above their, or below their health that tells me what they are, but I can't see what it is. Just trying to get close enough to see what you are. Backstab? Backstab. Your backstab. Are those butterflies attacking me? What the hell is that? Go away! So garbage! Oh my god, this is so dumb. I love it. You got Oh no! My health! No! Oh, I ran into something! Entirely my fault. That's the worst.
Some nectar there. The perfect.
I can't believe I made it even this far. So much dumb luck involved. Alright, there is some skill. I'm not terrible at this game. We know that. What the heck is this? I need food. And this.
Thank you, mate.
And whatever this is.
There's your war against the dead. Your boatman there is
Aries! I haven't seen him in a while. So Aries is a Thracian god of war. He is also a bit of an outsider originally to the Olympians. He was famous as the red-headed god of war. He is mentioned as early as the Iliad. When he and Aphrodite are caught in a tryst, she goes back to Cyprus, where she's from, and he goes back to Thrace. And the interesting thing about these gods is they're from polar opposite places. She's from the south, he's from the north. She's about love and beauty and gentleness, and he's about violence and swagger. So that's Aries, as he's the more chaotic aspect of war. And I talked over him, I'm sorry, but he said, your boatman there is a reliable deliverer of death, it seems, and that makes 3 of us, I think, because Aries loves chaos, and he wants people to die in war, because that's just the violence and chaos of it, and of course Hades likes it because his domain grows. And according to this book, there are spirits who would sometimes fight over the souls of the dead, like they would sometimes be the ones to push people into death. And I can't remember, was that the Curs? I can't remember, but there are goddesses who would sometimes drag people off the battlefield. So the Cur as an evil sprite. Is that it? Here's a picture. Well, here's a picture of... Man, it looks like Hercules is about to beat a Cur. That's kind of scary. But these were death spirits that sometimes roamed the battlefield. And some of these winged spirits became things like the Furies, who avenged people who did wrong, and they would hound people like Orestes. I said Arthrides at one point, and I meant Orestes. And they would, and then if you placated them, they went from these dark goddesses to these light goddesses, and they became more benevolent. If I'm getting all that correctly, it's in this book, which is very, very, very influential, like I said, with ancient Greek religion. It is, if I'm saying this, pronouncing this right, I've never seen this word or heard this word spoken out loud. It's Prolegumena, to the study of Greek religion. Okay.
The war is on.
Here's our boy. He's been very helpful. Which way do we want to go? Let's go with Poseidon, who is another chthonic, a god with chthonic aspect.
No way.
Sorry, I'm not ignoring your comments, by the way. It's just this game is chaotic. Oh, David left, but he said it took him 30 runs to get to Asphodel. I'm surprised it didn't take you that long. I bet you anything it's going to take me like a dozen runs to get past this, though. It's really tough, and sometimes it's just dumb luck. So I'm really nervous because I think all my sins are going to come back to haunt me in this game. I think at some point. I'm sorry, Aries, I just replaced you.
You choose one of my relatives instead of me, though I myself was first to contact you.
What? Athena!
I must respond to you in kind.
Come on. Don't be mad.
I'm sorry.
What? What is this? What is happening? I mean, that is very Greek god, right? Like, they get so mad. They're pretty, in the stories, they always seem a little bit jealous of one another, right? Like, they're pretty mad when mortals make decisions they don't like. And obviously, Athena did not like that. And Athena's not a goddess you want to cross. But, you just... Girl, I like you too. Come on. I can't choose both of you, right? I can't choose both of you. You're both great. How come I can't, like, be friends with both of you? What even is this? If I have to go down, though, I totally want to die by, like, you know, like, Athena's just like, alright. Like, that's something I could accept. Like, that's more than a worthy opponent, right? You've got Athena as your opponent. If my dad asks, like, if Zagreus' dad asks, like, hey, how'd you die? Well, Athena struck me down. It's like, hey, okay, that's, you didn't die stupid. You actually, that makes sense, right? Like that's a tough opponent. She's a goddess of war and wisdom. And again, she has a little bit of a chthonic aspect in the sense that she had a sacred snake on the Acropolis. That was a representative of hers, but serpents were part of the underworld, or messengers of the underworld, so there may be something chthonic in that. Although, of course, I was going to go with Poseidon because he actually was known to have a underworld epithet, and he was connected to the underworld in some way. It's not clear what, though, or it's not clear to me exactly what that is. We know that Poseidon was worshipped in Minoan Crete for sure, that he was related to bull sacrifices as Dionysus was. It's not clear if these were aspects of the same god or what. It's just not totally clear to me. It may not be clear to scholars either. I'm not sure. But again, I'm just sad because I really like Athena. She's so cool. I don't want to make her mad. Super tough. Oh, get out of there! I saw the area of effect and I was like, no! No! I got lucky! Man, it's a theme of tonight, luck.
Is inevitable, Zagreus. All we can do is learn it.
Well, I learned that you're a tough opponent. Yes. That's rad. See, if you, girl, you told me that, I would have gone with you. Well, I would have gone with both of you. Don't make me choose. I'm just a demigod.
Gimme.
This is tough.
Poor me.
This is hard. This game, yes, Alex, this game is so easy to get addicted to. Oh, I meant to get the other one. That one had a chthonic key. I need that. That, I really do.
Wheels.
Ah! I swear to God, I got pulled into something. That was weird. My imagination, I don't know. Maybe I'm too fast and I can't control myself. By the way, if you're playing this game, I set that off by accident. What is your preferred weapon? So obviously, I've gotten really far with the shield. I think the shield. I thought it was going to be the bow and arrow, but I think the shield. I think that's going to be it. And if Demon Souls and Dark Souls and all those Soulsborne games have taught me anything, keep moving. Duck and roll, duck and roll, duck and roll. Shield up, shield up, shield up, shield up. So I was saying earlier that the key to surviving any of these games is to keep moving. So in the Demon Souls remake, if you guys have a PlayStation 5 on pre-order and you're going to be playing Demon Souls at launch, no spoilers for the story or anything, but gameplay-wise, do not get arrogant, go slowly, never drop your shield, shield always up, and especially with boss fights, duck and roll, duck and roll, duck and roll, duck and roll.
Don't do that.
And unlike this game, which has randomly generated dungeons, right, like things are not always in the same order, it's really important to memorize what's going on in the Demon Souls games. Which you can do. You'll know when your opponents come for you. You'll recognize a pattern. The game asks for patience! Toasty! Why this game is a little bit different. It's randomly generated. Part of that, of course, is probably to ward off boredom, because you have to, when you die, you have to start over. But also to keep you on your toes. Which it is doing a very good job of. I like it. Really, really hard. Oh God. This is so hard. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna get really far and then I'm gonna have to start over. I haven't gotten the gun yet. Are you talking about the last weapon that you get? So I've gotten as far as the little, I don't know what you call them. I keep want to call them fisticuffs. They look like little boxing gloves. But so far I've had the most luck with a shield. I have not unlocked the last weapon yet. So we'll see. Oh my God! Go away, you trash monkeys. Go away, you walking dumpster fires. Boo! Boo, I say. It's so ridiculous. It's such a joke. I can only sprint so many times. Butt thing? God. It's a miracle I got past the Hydra. And if I may tactfully brag, on the first try, no less. But that will never happen again, because that will be my luck. I want you to note that I got past the Hydra, because I guarantee you that will never happen twice. I will rage quit this game before I do that twice. I can feel it. I know me. I will get way ahead of myself and be like, this is really easy. No, it's not. I'll never get that lucky ever, ever again. That's why I'm nervous about dying here, because I'm like, I'll never get this far ever again. I will never get out of Hades. I will always get so close. Well, this is being task. And I messed up that word, I just realized, but I'm blanking on how to pronounce the word. But it's like the dude you meet in this game who has to roll the boulder up the hill because he tried to cheat death a bunch of times. And he's there as a warning to everybody else. Go away, you two! Yeah, eat it, you butts. I ran into that. I'm gonna smack into that. Boo! And boo again! Go away! You are so friggin' trash! Hate you. I hate this. This is scary. It bounced up. It came back. It boomeranged. My throwing stick boomeranged on me. Trash. Oh god. I didn't kill him. I just got through his shields. Well, that's fun. Oh my god. Whoa! 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 Sorry, I know I disappeared from the camera. But I didn't... And I've lost my train of thought. I was gonna say I didn't do something. I don't remember what something is. I didn't set my camera up correctly. I thought I did, but have you ever done this thing where you try to preview what you look like on camera before you go live, and then it ends up not looking like the thing it looks like? And then you're like, oh, how far am I in Elysian Fields? Where am I? Sorry, ladies. You look lovely tonight. Oh, look at that fruit. Nice. Very nice. This is fun. I like this place. Oh, thank any and all gods. What's up, my man? Oh, I love this. I love... Take a picture of this. And notice that the fruit on the cart at the top is pomegranate. That is so important, again, that life and rebirth, life and rebirth, life and rebirth. Alright. We're gonna keep the stream going. What did I start at? Like 6, 7, 8? Yeah. We're still going.
Oh, wow.
Hold, fiend.
Theseus is hot! Sorry, that was not important. It was not important to anything. I'm just really surprised. Usually when I play games, I'm used to all the women being sexy. It's kind of the background radiation of every woman's life, but damn! Theseus, you thick. Alright. That's not important, though. What is important is we're talking about a chthonic underworld theme and how it kind of ties in to bull worship. In its earliest form, Dionysus, part of his religion, may come from an early, either Mesopotamian or, I can't remember, Anatolian cult that might go back as early as 7000 BCE. And this is kind of ironic because Theseus goes to Crete to defeat the Minotaur who devours children on Crete. The story may originate from the ancient archaic Greeks and classic Greeks not understanding their predecessors, the Minoans. The Minoans were a pre-Greek civilization. After them came the Mycenaeans, and the Mycenaeans also mysteriously disappeared. But they left these palaces and these fortresses, and the Greeks had to puzzle out what all it meant. Well, the Minoans were very famous for, especially on Crete, bull worship of some kind. And you can see it when you go to the palaces in Crete and you see the frescoes. There's bull jumping, there's bull horns that were found, but there's also evidence of child sacrifice and possibly even, if I'm remembering this correctly, cannibalism. So the ancient Greeks had these stories that were left over and they tried to fill in the blanks. And one of the blanks was that the king of Crete, Minos, had so he had a wife, and keep her in mind. But the original story goes that he was supposed to sacrifice a bull to Poseidon. So part of ancient Poseidon worship was a bull. Now Poseidon wasn't just god of the ocean, he also had an underworld aspect. In fact, things that are kind of tied to him, earthquakes, which sometimes happen under the surface of water, that has an underworld aspect. Winds have an underworld aspect. They seem to blow out of caves. So he had an underworldly aspect. He even had an epithet for an underworld god at one point. One of his names was connected to the underworld. So Minos was supposed to sacrifice a bull. He didn't, and Poseidon was like, I'm gonna tag you back for that. And so his clapback was he had his wife fall in love with a bull, and she asked the genius Daedalus to help her, He who builds a labyrinth. There is actually a name like that connected to the building of a labyrinth, or not really an actual maze, but a palace that was like a maze to the ancient Greeks. And he had a machine or some sort of thing built that made her look like a female cow, and she got in the female cow little mechanic, and then the bull mated with the cow, and she got pregnant and had the Minotaur, half man, half bull. Minos finds out about this abomination, is like, oh no, and throws the Minotaur into this labyrinthine maze, right? And to appease the Minotaur, he demands from nearby Athens that they have 7 boys and 7 girls come to Crete so he can feed them to the Minotaur. Theseus comes along. He's the son of the king of Athens, but he's raised, I think, in Trozen or somewhere like that, if I'm pronouncing that right. And he comes along and he agrees to defeat the Minotaur. So he pretends to be one of the boys who goes to Crete to be sacrificed, but with the help of King Minos' daughter, he makes his way through the labyrinth. He has a yarn so he can find his way back through the labyrinth, and he defeats the Minotaur, and then he is a hero to Athens. So it's really interesting that the Minotaur, who is a part of this bull cult, who's a part of Poseidon, who might have a connection to the early Dionysus or deity Zagreus here, all of that is sort of mixed up in ancient Crete religion, which became ancient Greek religion, and so we have once again this tie-in to the underworld and to Zagreus and to Greek religion through Theseus. And I'm sorry that meandered, but that's really important. Also, that bull has really cool hair. I did not expect that. Asterios, bull of Minos. 2 against 1 seems hardly fair. Oh my gosh.
Yes, the bull of Minos. You two are legends. I'd be honored if we had
a sporting contest. Bless you, Zagreus. Ironically, Zagreus might be fighting part of an aspect of himself through that bull, through this underworld connotation. It's crazy.
A naked attempt to sway me from my convictions. Defend yourself, you blackguard, and may the
Oh no. I won't mind if I die here.
Here he comes.
This is not going to be easy. I'm not just facing the Minotaur. I'm fighting another divine hero. I'm fighting Theseus, who defeated the Minotaur, who defeated this particular aspect of this ancient Crete religion and belief. So it would not be surprising, right, if I die here, because it would kind of be fitting to the theme of defeating. It was a story that was trying to explain the rise and fall of the ancient Minoan religion, or the usurpation of it by either the Mycenaeans or the ancient Greeks later. I have no idea. It's so old and ancient. It's crazy. Oh my god. I'm just running at this point. Go away, you're mean. Also, where was I going? Why did I do that? Bad Minotaur. Boop you in the nose like a snake. Don't step on snake. Oh my god. Have I put a dent in these guys? I feel like I haven't even put a dent in them. Oof. Theseus is who he is for a reason. He is not a joke, and I ran into him, and I should stay over here. Go. Go. No! Don't go there. It bounces off of things. Ah! He jumped! Bad bull. Bad cow. Oh, shoot. Gun. No! Don't go closer! What are you doing? And when I say you, I mean me. What am I doing? No! At some point, they're going to start moving faster. I'm going to do some area of effect thing. It's going to suck. know it. Bad cow. Bad move. Bad move. Bad move.
Not yet.
Bad move.
I can't.
Bad move. This doesn't work! Because it just bounces off these damn urns. I need to get rid of these. Can I get rid of these? Can I get rid of these? They're beautiful, but they're in my way. The thing is, I have to move fast, so I can't really set up my shot. I'll just be a target. Oh, you bad cow! Bad move. Bad move.
You see?
Ah! I stood there to see what? See if I could lure them. That's the word I'm looking for. I wanted to lure them in. This is trash! Oh, stop calling me a fiend! It hurts my feelings! Rude! Maybe I need to hide behind it. Love the design of this game. No! Bad cow! Bad move! Bad move! Bad move! Bad move! Because apparently yelling moo will work in my favor. Like if I just say bad move. Joke! Get off my butt! Poop? You're a poop butt. Stop it! That's fox guarding. No fox guarding in this game. Here, have a tornado. Here, have another tornado. Oh, damn it. I hate that they actually bounce off of things. That's super realistic and I appreciate it. But this is dumb. Way bad. Oh! That was a nice tag team. Can't even be mad. Can't even be mad. This is so dumb! In a circle! That is a snake. Bull! This isn't funny anymore. You're a bully. Stop it! Stop! I'm gonna tell on you. I'm gonna tell my dad. Slouching form is what? Stupid. You bully me. Stop it! You're mean. Hate you. Tell my dad. Ah, you little bastard. Oh. I thought I had a plan for a second. I was like, oh, I just hide under behind this. Nope, gotta keep moving. Oh, God. This is bad. This is really bad. I need every point, and this thing is gonna kick my ass. No! Moo! I think I knew it would be nice to me. Oh my God! Did you see the mosaic with a black and white motif that looks like that thing from Predator? Okay, if that's deliberate, I so love Supergiant games. It's like Minotaur and Theseus team up against their enemies. Look, I can't... Look at that mosaic. That's amazing. If that is deliberate, and that is a deliberate Predator thing, I will freak out. I've got to look that up later. Somebody look that up. Is that deliberate? Because I am not even mad. I'm not even... Oh!
Protect you, cousin.
Yeah, Athena! It's gonna make me an immortal! Out of the way, bitches! Alright. Sweet!
Lord Dionysus, lend me your...
Yes!
Not yet. The gods are helping.
Dionysus is my boy! Oh, wait. Is that Theseus doing that? Who called... Okay. It should be Zagreus, because that's his other aspect, but I can't tell if that's Theseus or no. I think Theseus called that. I didn't call that. Oh, no. I don't think... Oh. I'm not sure who called that. Deathified! Bitches!
Do you see?
I'm not sticking around to find out who did that, by the way. I'm not sure who called on what. I don't know if I want to know. But it makes sense. Why? Because who is the old Cretan god? It may be a early forerunner of Dionysus. So, no matter who called him, and I'm pretty sure that was Theseus freaking out. Unless I'm cooler than I know. But I don't think so, because like Megara, this is one of those large area of effect things where I'm getting my ass kicked. This sucks. Get you, bitch. Poisoned me. You little... No, not poison. Yes, poison. I think I'm gonna poison you. I'll get you for that. This one. You're gonna die here. You're the hell of a good run. I did not even think I would get this far in this one run. I had no expectations of it. I didn't even think I'd get to the Hydra. Like, I really thought I was gonna have to die a few more times. So I'm proud of myself because even if I died, you didn't expect this fight. Go down with blood in my teeth. Oh, he keeps blocking it. That's the problem. I've been wasting a lot of time. What a mess! I can't even see what's going on now. The problem is Theseus is blocking everything. I have to focus on the Minotaur. I'm so grumpy about that. I'm so grumpy about that. Because I can't see where everyone is now. I'm literally just kind of blindly going in a circle. Hoping I'm hitting somebody with my shield. Lord. What am I doing? Oh, you called on so many little... Ah! I'm never gonna get this far again! I got so lucky in the Hydra fight. So it really haunts me that I'm gonna die here, because I'm like less afraid of them and more afraid of fighting the Hydra again. I'm like, this is gonna suck. Bastards. You bastards! Where am I? I defeated somebody. Did I defeat the Minotaur? I think I did. That's gonna make this harder. Because once you get close, man, you are just... Yeah, see, I can't get close to him. Ah! You guys, we were so close! Ah! We were so close! We got so far! I was this close to getting out of Elysian Fields! That was such a good run! That'll never happen again, not in a million years! Oh my god, that was such a good run! I'm very proud of myself, but very frustrated. I'm gonna have to do the whole thing over again! Ah! Where's Hypnos? Oh no, where's Hypnos? Where's my bestest boy? Hi, Floofy.
Keep an eye on father for me, boy. Don't let him sound.
Cerberus promises to do exactly that in his own.
Oh, he's such a good boy. Hey, Dad. Did you see that? Did you see how far I got? I defeated the Hydra and Meg, and I almost defeated Theseus. Are you proud of me? Are you proud of me? Are you proud of me? Are you proud of me?
She is gone, boy. She is gone. You are never going to locate her. I thought you would have come to that conclusion for yourself by now. But apparently it must be said.
You mean Mother? How would you even know? You said reaching the surface was impossible as well, and I'm in striking distance.
This is my final warning to you, boy. To cease this mindless quest.
Ooh, he's not happy I made it as far as I did. I was almost out of the Elysian fields. I was this close!
Sorry, Father. I'm not afraid of you.
Oh, that was such a good run.
Hey, that's the court musician's
It
sentence.
was such a good run.
In the name of Hades, I commute our court musician's
All right, let's
sentence
get Orpheus out. So we talked about Orpheus.
Hello.
And the Orphic Hymns are kind of what changed the nature of Dionysus from his wild chthonic form to a god of rebirth and hope for the afterlife. Okay, can we do anything? Ooh, I love lilacs. Yes,
Let's go with
please.
this. A nice floral arrangement ought to lighten up the mood a little bit.
Let me see what happens.
You would associate.
Oh, how pretty! Yay! Yay! I like that. That makes me so happy. All right. Very nice. Who are you?
Oh, hello, Zagreus.
Oh, it's Orpheus!
I understand you liberated me from my eternal punishment.
Oh my god, I
And
love his
so
rock
I
and
have
roll
returned
makeup.
to serve your father here. Thanks.
Orpheus, you're back. Look, don't get on Father's bad side like that and you're going to be fine.
I grieve for you, my friend. But if you've come to ask me for a song, why? I'm afraid I must stand firm about my answer.
It's all right.
So the story
Can't
of
make you say
Orpheus
you don't
is
want
kind of
to.
reflective of the story of Dionysus. Orpheus also has an otherworldly aspect. He was married to a beautiful woman. She dies. And Orpheus, who has the ability to tame wild animals, to soothe any kind of anger, manages to go to the underworld, convince Hades to let him have his wife back, right? Like he sings a song or has this beautiful speech that moves even Hades. Hades is like, all right. You can take your wife back with you to the overworld, but there is a catch. You can't look back at her. If you look back at her, she has to come back. Orpheus is, I think he either leads her or is led with, or by Hermes back to the overworld, except what does Orpheus do? He cannot resist. He has to look back to make sure his wife is still behind him. She has to go back to the underworld. He goes back to the surface. He's in so much grief for so long. He sobs about it. He sings sad songs with his beautiful voice. Dionysus's worshippers demanded they want to marry him. He doesn't want to marry anyone. They're so angry at him, they literally, just like Dionysus in certain stories, they rip him apart. But according to one story, his head continues to sing and somehow ends up on the island of Lesbos, where it continues to sing. And later you get the Orphic mysteries, which are tied back into Dionysus, which makes it seem that Orpheus is some sort of priest or some sort of newcomer who changes the cult of Dionysus from something very violent to something more kind that has the promise of the afterlife. So it's very appropriate for Orpheus to be here. Now, here's another lounge chair. We obviously
want to get back up.
need to die a couple more times before we find out who this is. No doubt this will happen very soon. This game is punishing. But at least it's gentle in the sense that, yes, you die. But if you die, you are consoled by the fact that you learn more about the world and more about the story. And who are you? Oh, it's okay, this is Nyx.
Megara. There is no shame in yours.
So it's Nyx and Megara
Whilst
having a
your sisters are
conversation.
away, you bear their burden of responsibility as well.
I understand. It's just... Am I supposed to keep pretending nothing's changed? This house is cracking at the seams.
By the way, I think
No
that's the
one's
voice
going
of
to
Mad
admit.
Moxie from Borderlands, but I have to look that up.
The house shall stand eternally. Although in what condition, it is ours to decide.
I love
Our obligation
their
is to
design,
keep
by the way.
house
I
in
love
order.
Nyx's design. She's gorgeous.
I know.
Everyone in this game is hot.
I'll do my best. I'll do my best for both our sakes, Nyx.
What was that about?
Prophecy fulfilled. Awesome. Alright, let's get a lounge. Anyone in the lounge? Nope, everyone's chilling. Okay. Anything else I can do? Nope. I don't think so. I think we're good. The design of this game is so cute. I love that the floor sparkles, right? Like, it's not a joyless place. It's okay. Okay.
The prophecy has been fulfilled.
Alright, we brought Orpheus back and we got a reward. So again, the idea that you die, but you're not punished for it. In fact, you're rewarded. This Mirror of Nyx is really important. You can see that if I get... I don't have enough. I can get more talents. I get boiling blood. Deal bonus attack and special... Yes. Look at that. We've maxed these out, but we have more to go. Exciting.
The power of
We'll get
darkness.
stronger as we go. Love it. All right. How many times have we done this now? So, I managed to get as far as I did in attempt number 11. We've almost killed 2,000 enemies. Not bad. Maybe not the best run. I'm sure there are people who have done this in like 10 runs. Good for you. I'm just not... whatever. I guarantee you, I'm doing okay so far, but I guarantee you I will never have a good run like that again. It is just my luck. I'm calling it now. If I rage quit this game, just know I had one really good run. And it's not this game's fault. I'm just not very patient. Look at that. This game is beautiful.
Can't sleep.
Why would I rest? Kind of defeats the purpose. Alright. Do I have enough to unlock another weapon, though?
Need a key.
No, not yet. Alright. Alright, I think this is a good place to stop, guys. This has almost been 3 hours, which is pretty long for my stream. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry the first YouTube link that I sent out didn't work. There's a trick to scheduling YouTube videos where you have to have the right Steam key in order to stream to the link that you link out. I swear I did that, but what happened was... Oh, I know what happened. I decided to do a practice live stream to see if it would show up. But once you do that, it uses up that link so that you have to restart the whole thing over again. So I should have sent out a new link after I tested. That's on me. But I'm glad you're here with me now. This was super, super fun. I hope you learned something. I'm sorry if I rambled on and on. There's so much Greek mythology and history to get through. I have 6 books here. I didn't even get to referencing them all. I just didn't have the time to bookmark everything before the stream started because of technical difficulties. I wish I did, but hopefully what I said was at least partially right, and hopefully it was interesting and informative for you. Come back later this coming week. I'm going to be streaming more Hades as well as Final Fantasy 14 and 13 Sentinels. So I'm really excited about that. That will probably be on... so 13 Sentinels will be on Twitch. So that's Celtic_Queen on Twitch. And then because my OBS is set to YouTube, it'll either be on Twitch or YouTube for future streams. I wanted to try YouTube streaming to see how well it resonates with people. I'm pretty good about Twitch, but I kind of neglect YouTube streaming and want to see if anyone was interested in that. So if you have a preference, if you like watching me on Twitch, let me know at MEGHAN_IGN on Twitter. And if you prefer YouTube, let me know on Twitter as well, so I know which stream you prefer. I have 2 streaming platforms I can choose from, either Twitch or YouTube. But which one you guys prefer will dictate which one I stream on going forward. So at any rate, I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys go out and try Hades. It's an excellent, super fun game. I love it.
From here across all
I don't
that.
normally like rogue games, but this game is absolutely exceptional. It's fantastic. Super Giant Games. Farthest chamber I've reached is 37. Not bad. Not bad at all for my 11th try. Again, I want to stress, I will probably never have a good run like that ever again. That was insanely lucky. So I'm glad you guys were here to witness that I had a good try, but I might just have to resign myself to living in Hades. After all, Zagreus is part of a deity that was killed, dismembered, reborn, killed, dismembered, reborn. So, death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. And you know what? Hades isn't such a bad dad. It's just hard for him. You know, he's a single dad. He's got a lot of work. But Zagreus is, it's understandable. It's been hard for him. He wants to go out and see the world. You can understand both points of view. It's a rather heartwarming story about father and son and just coming from different perspectives and want to go out and see the world. So, at any rate, great job, Super Giant Games. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be on the lookout for future streams. And as always, if you want to contact me, you can do so on Twitter. Also, you can email me with any questions you have about history and future content at megn at gmail.com. I'm also on Instagram at Celtic_Queen_Meg. And with that, I'll see you guys later. Bye!